Is he tired?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I am a dissident.
Don't move. Move.
I'm saying no. Why you hear Palantir, 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 Palantir? It's not going to stop.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list.
Turns off.
I am not a church boy.
Turns off.
They're full-on vampires.
They hate our beef. They hate our beef. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome.
Yeah, your mic.
What happened?
You're echoey.
Oh, you know what it is? I just adjusted my setting during the countdown, and I must have hit the wrong button and switched the mic by accident. Let me just make sure I got that. There we go. All right. Let's try that again. Hello, dissidents. Welcome one and all to a Thursday midday edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobular.
Hello.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Great crowd to start things off. Smash that subscribe button on YouTube, follow button on Rumble, and smash that like button. Let's get an even bigger crowd in here for the top of this show, because we have a very special guest who we're going to be introducing in just a couple minutes. But before we do that, I do want to show the trailer to her new film, which is what we're here to talk about today. It's a documentary, terrific documentary. Russ and I both watched it last night after the Jimmy Dore show. We caught it a late show, very late show.
Hardest working men in show business.
Yes, but it was well worth staying up for. It's called Removed, Black Erasure in Boston. Let's take a quick look at the trailer before we bring our guest in.
Yes, Boston is home to winning sports teams and elite universities. But some might say that there are two Bostons.
If you look at City Hall, no one's talking about that specific racial and historical component that Black people are the ones that are being removed.
There's a huge significant difference in lived experiences, and we know this because of the wealth report. We're at $8.
This whole plan of gentrification isn't a new concept. In every city you go into in the Northeast, they kept moving Black people out of the inner city. So it's a plan. It's been in place for a long time.
While the displacement isn't as bad as 1963, it hasn't gotten much better now.
It's by design that they've created spaces where we are no longer seen anymore. They're wiping us out one community at a time, and they're getting away with it. This is gentrification. Franklin Park has been a place where we have built community, and all these things are at risk.
Why is the mayor willing to throw herself on this sword, do or die, for this project? It's not about soccer. It's about the additional profits that can be made in this entertainment complex. It's a disrespect that you would take public parkland and then give it to a private group to control it. And this project is Emmett Till's mama pulling back a curtain. And if people don't look at what's behind that curtain, it's coming to them.
All right. Excellent. And without further ado, we're going to introduce our guest, the director of that film, longtime friend of ours. You all know who she is, independent journalist and commentator and filmmaker, of course, and host of the Sabby Sabs show, our friend Sabrina Salvati. Sabby, great to see you again.
Hello. Great to see you guys. I know it's been a while.
It has. It's been a while. It's been
How
too
you been,
long.
Sabby?
I've been busy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This entire year has been pretty hectic for me, more than I could have imagined. That's part of the reason why I know a number of people are like, go on shows. I haven't done appearances in a while because I've just been so busy with the documentary, of course, also with my own show with RBN, and then also the Boston Mutual Aid Group. So there's just been a lot that's been going on. And you guys know this when it comes to filmmaking. It does take up a lot of your time.
Oh, it's incredibly time intensive.
Yeah.
Incredibly.
So it's nice to be able to get back out there again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, we feel you. We've been extremely busy too. I'm having to like turn people down when they ask me to come on, and I hate doing it, but like I mean, time is really, really short. I mean, it's just been a crazy year. There's been, hundreds of news stories to keep up with every week, like deciding what you're going to cover. That's the hardest part. That was always the hardest part. But now it's even harder. Now every show, there's like 30 stories to choose from. You got to whittle it down to the 6 or 7 that you have time for. It's really crazy. And on top of making a film, it's a huge workload.
Yeah, we're inspired by your sign there. So glad you're here. We're gonna make a sign saying "Go away."
Yeah, right. Yeah, change the channel. Exactly. So yeah, let's talk about this film. I saw it last night. It was great. It is premiering at 4 p.m. today, 4 p.m. Eastern, in all of its ultra high def 4K glory. Right? You uploaded the full 4K version of it. You can't stream it in 4K, but now you'll get the ultra high def version. That premieres at 4 o'clock this afternoon. So make sure you head to Sabby's channel. The link to that premiere is in the description of this video on the YouTube side. So make sure that you do that after the show today. Make it a double header and go watch Sabby's film if you haven't already. You mentioned at the very beginning of the movie that you went to Boston for grad school, and upon arriving, you noticed that there weren't many black people around. And I always assumed that you grew up in Boston, but apparently not. So where did you grow up, and why did you decide to stay in Boston after college?
So I grew up in different places because my parents were military. So we lived overseas. I lived in, the Carolinas. My family's originally from Maryland. So we've lived in different places. Right. And I have to say, with Boston in particular, there's no city like Boston in the United States. It's very, very different. And I think that upon arriving to Boston, I went to Northeastern University for grad school, which is important because they're a part of the problem that's mentioned in this documentary.
Right.
And I noticed it right away. Like when I came here, I was like, this is okay. So where are all the, and what you come to find out is that there's a lot of hyper segregation in Boston. It's gotten better over the years. I've been here since 2011. So I've been here for a while. So it has improved. But I can compare it to Chicago, where if you've ever been to Chicago, when you go there, you can see it. It's hyper like segregation. And I think that when you're coming from places like the DC, Baltimore, like Metro, if you're coming from the Carolinas, if you're coming from North Carolina, South Carolina, et cetera, it is a culture shock, and it's very different. Being a part of a military family, like I went to school with everybody. Like we went to school with everyone. And I think the difference that you notice is that when you come here in Boston, that the black neighborhoods, that there were lines drawn so that there is that deep separation. And I think that if you don't venture into those areas, which a lot of people who come here don't, because everything that you're used to using is in Boston proper. So when most people come here, they go to Boston proper. That's where most of the universities are. And then some are also in Cambridge, but most of them are in that area. A lot of the jobs are in that area, right? But the Black population in Boston over the years, which you'll see in this documentary, they've been pushed further and further south of the city. So at one point in time, Black people did live in Boston proper. They lived in wealthy areas now, like Beacon Hill. They did live there. But because of the policies that the city implemented, they were kicked out and pushed to the southern part of the city, which is not easily accessible via public transportation. So a lot of people that move here don't have a car, and they rely heavily on the T. That's our public transportation system here. We call it the T. They rely heavily on that. So what that means is that people are less likely to venture to areas that are more difficult for them to get to. That's Roxbury, that's Dorchester, that's Mattapan. And most people stay within Boston proper, or they'll go to Cambridge. It's actually easier for you to get from Boston proper to Cambridge than it is for you to get to Roxbury. So I think the dynamics that are there are really important. And then, like a lot of people, I came here for grad school and then I got a job here right after grad school. So that's how I ended up staying here. And I think that's what you see with a lot of these cities, in particular, that rely on the tech sector, the healthcare jobs, the education industry. A lot of people end up in those cities because they come to those cities to go to college. And then after that, they end up finding a job, right? So that's what led me here.
It's true. You know, in my previous career, one of my many previous fake careers, I designed walking tours. And I designed tours in New York, but then my boss would send me, out to DC. I went to Chicago and to Boston to design a couple tours. And I designed a chocolate tour in Back Bay, basically Newbury Street, all the swanky shops. And then I designed a ghost tour in Beacon Hill. And I learned a little bit about the Black history of Beacon Hill when designing that tour. But to go there, you would never know it. You would never know it. It's so true. When you go to Boston, all of the places that people go to are huddled around the Commons, right? Whether it's downtown, Back Bay, Beacon Hill, it's all very centrally located. And I think that has a lot to do with the redlining. So, Russ, did you want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah, so it was interesting watching this because I have a certain expertise about this subject in New York, partly from being a tour guide, partly just from being interested in the subject, partly because I live in Harlem, where obviously this is a topic that comes up a lot. So it was interesting to see what's different and what's the same. So I think a lot of people don't really know the history of redlining. We saw this come up with the conversation around Mamdani. It was very surprising that even a lot of people who were defending his rent proposals didn't bring up the subject of redlining as the reason that a lot of neighborhoods are economically depressed, and going to some of the kind of systemic issues that I think your documentary touches on. And I saw people make this overt argument that these neighborhoods are bad because the people there don't take care of their neighborhoods, as if it's some moral failing of the people. No conversation about the fact that they systematically destroyed the economic prospects of people in these areas. And today, a lot of those areas are still living with that legacy. A lot of people don't even know about redlining. Can you explain what that was?
Yeah, so redlining, which happened all across the United States in Black communities, it was basically this policy that said that the way I can describe it is if you picture a map and different neighborhoods have different colors. So one neighborhood could be green, another one can be yellow, blue, and then there are the neighborhoods that were red. The red neighborhoods were the ones that basically they said, well, they were Black neighborhoods, that these neighborhoods should not receive loans. So what ended up happening is that even for Black families that lived in those red line areas, even if they had a household income that would make them eligible to get a home loan, they were automatically denied because of where they lived. And this ultimately is one of the things that prevented Black people, especially when white flight took place. It prevented them from being able to buy those homes in those suburban areas because the banks weren't willing to lend to them because of where they lived. And so I think a lot of people just don't really know about that and understand that. And then you go forward and you look at a lot of those neighborhoods that were redlined. Now these are the neighborhoods that are being gentrified. So now you have developers coming into those neighborhoods because the property value in the red line neighborhoods is going to be cheaper, right? So they come into those neighborhoods, they buy up a block, sometimes 2 blocks, tear down the housing that's there. So the people who live there, they have to move. It's not like you have an option. They have to move. And then the developers, they build what they want there. This is very important when we talk about Roxbury. Roxbury is very close to downtown Boston. And over the past couple of years, developers have decided, you know what, because of its proximity to the financial district, it would actually be good if we start buying up some property around here, building more luxury condos. And they're basically trying to make this a city for people who have money and for people who graduate from the universities here. In fact, this isn't a new thing. It didn't just start under Mayor Wu. This has been in place. It started under Mayor Menino. And then he passed away. Marty Walsh came into power. Marty Walsh said it very blatantly himself during a conference that he wanted Boston to become a place where the college graduates would stay. They wanted it to become that city, and they wanted people with money to move into the city because they said they would invest in the city. So ultimately, over the years, what you have found is a lot of the people who grew up here and have like that thick, like Boston accent, a lot of those people don't live in Boston. So when you watch movies like The Departed or The Town, that's not Boston. Boston is not like that. South Boston looks like, I don't know how to explain it. Like they still have the old project housing on the outskirt of South Boston.
Right.
But now if you go down Broadway in South Boston, you see these spin cycle gyms, juice bars, breweries, like that. Like it's not what you see in the movies. That's what Boston used to be. And so I think that if you come here as a tourist, you might be misled because the people who are doing the tours, a lot of the tour guides are from Boston, but a lot of them don't live here anymore. They moved to the North Shore, they moved to the South Shore, they were pushed to the South Shore. As you'll find out what happened to a lot of the Black people that were born and raised in Boston, what happened to them. And so it's not what you think it is. Now, this isn't unique to Boston. It's happening in cities all across the country. I highly recommend that people look at the case study of San Francisco so you can find out what happened to the Black community there. Because before it happened in Boston, it happened in San Francisco. That's why today, when you go to San Francisco, you don't see as many Black people there. Look at what's happening in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. It was a big land grab. A lot of the people who grew up there couldn't afford to move back to New Orleans. After Hurricane Katrina and after the redevelopment. It's even happening in Atlanta, Georgia. So it seems to be more prominent in the Northeast and the West Coast, but it's also happening in the southern cities as well.
Now, this was very interesting to me, that your Irish political class, which was something that happened in most cities that had a large turn of the century immigration. The Italians and the Jews got behind Irish politicians because they arrived already speaking English, and they were closest to being considered white. They were not considered white, but they were closer than Jews and Italians. So you saw this Irish political class in Chicago, certainly saw it in New York. Uniquely in Boston, it lasted into the 90s. And also, unlike those other cities, you think of Chicago, you're very aware of the Black population in Chicago. It's a big part of the American history and cultural history. Certainly New York, Harlem, you think of that. Why is the Black population of Boston so forgotten? And is it related to that Irish population dominating the politics of Boston for so long? Is it demographic? Like, why did it work that way there?
Yeah, for those who are not aware, a lot of things changed when Mayor Menino became mayor. So as your point, like to the 90s, Mayor Menino was the one that kind of broke that hold. And what people may not realize is that prior to the busing situation in Boston, Black people were not allowed to have jobs in government. So Black people were not allowed to be, and also law enforcement. They couldn't be police officers. They couldn't be firefighters. They couldn't be teachers. This was just how it was. Like here in Boston, and we talk a lot about racism in the South, but I think a lot of people just don't realize how racist the system was here in Boston. So Black people were not allowed to have those jobs. A number of people that I interviewed for this documentary also explained to me that at one point, Black people weren't supposed to go downtown. So there's a lot of that happened. But when Mayor Menino came in, I think he kind of shifted things a little bit. Part of this started after the busing riots that happened in Boston. So busing was very brutal here. One of the things that was very difficult about making this documentary is that the Black history in Boston has pretty much, for the most part, been erased. I went through a number of archives. very difficult to find this information. I had to go to different residents of Roxbury to ask them if they had pictures from back in the day. And then on top of that, the Boston Globe owns a lot of the busing photos, the archive pictures. So I had to go to the Boston Globe to get permission to get the license to use their photos. Like the information is just, but if you look up any other group in Boston, you can find that information more readily available where you don't have to seek out getting a license from the Boston Globe to get that information to share for a film. So that was one of the things that really stood out to me. Why is the Black population not really spoken about here in Boston? Again, it's because of what you said, that for years it was Irish Americans that dominated not just city government, but also the press, etc. And the Black community here was not something that was to be, it wasn't looked at as something that was positive. It was just like, oh yeah, and there's those Black kids over there in Roxbury. And you're right, and it's sad. Because there have been prominent people that came from Roxbury, people like that worked along with John Coltrane. There are musicians that came from Boston. New Edition came from Boston, right? Like, so, and it's just very weird how the city as a whole just kind of didn't give light to that and chose to pretend as if Black people just weren't here. Like, I have to tell you, I've lived in a lot of different places and I've never seen anything like this before until I came to Boston, where the Black population is literally forgotten about. And there are Black people here, but again, Black people are mostly concentrated in Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, not so much Jamaica Plain anymore as it used to be, because there's a lot of gentrification that has happened there. But ultimately, a lot of them, because of urban renewal, because of eminent domain, which is a big one, they were relocated to suburban towns that did not have the resources or the infrastructure to thrive, right? Like Brockton or like Taunton. Like, that's why you don't see more of us here. But it's weird. It's really weird to me. And I think during making this documentary and interviewing a lot of the people that grew up here and the ones who have been able to stick it out and stay around, they were able to share things with me that I feel like everybody should know about it. It should just be a part of Boston culture, but it's not.
Well, it's so true. I mean, Boston has a reputation for being a racist city. It does. Like New York, that's the joke in New York, is that Boston is a racist. Around the world, we were talking when we interviewed our mutual friend, Professor Mohammed Morandi, who lives in Iran. He was talking about how in Iran they have Jews seated in government. And I made the joke to him. I said, that's more than you could say for Boston. And he got it. He laughed. So, like, around the world, Boston has a reputation for being like a particular racist city, despite the fact that it is in arguably the most liberal state in the country, Massachusetts. And I know Russ had a more thorough sort of question related to that, but I think this is a good segue because, yeah, it has this reputation as being this racist city, yet it's like the most reliably Democrat vote blue city in the country, arguably. Russ, did you want to piggyback on that, or Sabby, whoever wants to take that? I figured that would be a good segue into that.
Well, actually, I kind of wanted to follow up because this is interesting to me. So part of the way, like, yeah, you described that in your documentary, the Irish, when you took over politics back then, it was a spoils system. Like, once you took over politics, you took over the civil service. So you used your ability to give jobs to your constituents. That was part of how you stayed in power. So here in New York, we were talking about this the other night with Eric Adams. He was on the force for 20 years. He has a New York cop accent, and the New York cop accent is an Irish accent. It's a distorted echo of this long Irish domination of the police force. But when they brought in civil service exams, it offset that somewhat. And that is how the force started to get more diverse than it was. Like, we did not have what you're describing. That is just amazing to me. Was this official policy to keep blacks out of the civil service, or was it just, yeah, we're just not going to give jobs to those people, and it was just unofficial?
It was, we're not going to give jobs to those people. We're going to keep it in the family. That's how it went. Like, it didn't matter if you had the qualifications or not. Like, we're not going to have Black police officers. Like, the way that it was explained to me by journalist Yabu Miller is that once they got into city government power, they made it very clear that they were going to keep it among their group of people. And I think one of the things that I noticed looking back at the busing photos and videos from Boston are very horrific. And it's not unique, to Boston. It happened in other places too. But it's the images and the videos that you see of police officers beating kids, of people throwing rocks at the buses. Remember, the kids didn't ask to be bused.
Right.
And it's just, it's horrifying. And it's also horrifying to know that it still goes on today. Like, this busing didn't disappear. And that's the other part about me that was really surprised when I moved here. I'm like,
they still bus to different schools in Boston?
They still do busing in Boston, because what was not done, and at that time what the Black community was asking for, was for the city to fix the schools in their neighborhoods. They weren't asking to be bused to go to schools in the white neighborhoods. That's not what they were asking.
Right.
And we get into this a little bit more in the documentary. However, the decision that was made was that we'll just resolve this problem by busing Black kids to white neighborhoods like South Boston and Charlestown, and busing the white kids to Roxbury and Dorchester. People were killed. Like, I don't think everybody knows this, but people were killed. People were beaten. It was a very, very violent time, physically violent time. But even today, they still have busing. It's an education lottery called Metco. They never fixed those schools in Roxbury and Dorchester. In fact, many of them have been torn down. This whole solution of let's just let your child apply for a charter school, that's becoming a big thing around here. But there's an education lottery called Metco, and the idea is that the parents enter the lottery, and if your child is selected, then your child will get to go to one of the more, I guess, better schools in one of they're going to wealthy white neighborhoods. They're sending kids from Roxbury to Newton, very, very wealthy city right outside of Boston. I talked to someone who was sent from Dorchester to school in Weston. Weston is one of the most wealthiest towns in Massachusetts. To give you an idea, you have Red Sox players that live in Weston. So they never fixed the actual problem, which was fixing those schools in Roxbury and Dorchester so that the books aren't old and falling apart. The kids aren't learning in boiler rooms because they didn't have like the classroom space. Like, they never fixed that. And this whole idea of just send them to a school in a town with, they don't know anybody and they don't interact with, and then they have to get back on the bus and come back to their neighborhood. It's just, I don't know. Like, I talked to a lot of people about it, and it's really sad how we get to the businesses. A lot of the businesses also were torn down, burned down, have not been rebuilt. And it's sad. It's sad what's happened to Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan. And I think what people have to understand is that even under Mayor Wu, who said that the housing issue was going to be her number one thing that she was going to fix, even under her, she's allowing developers even now to displace Black people in these neighborhoods. So what we've come to learn is that it didn't matter who was in power. At the end of the day, they all basically fit the needs of developers.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that about the busing, because I grew up in Newburgh, New York, and we had a magnet program with busing. And the Newburgh School District encompassed both the mostly Black and brown, very poor inner city and like the middle-class white suburbs where I lived. But it was a lottery system. They had racial quotas. They wanted the virtue signal, because you mentioned virtue signaling a lot as a mechanism of this throughout the documentary. They want the virtue signal of race mixing. Oh, we're going to have a third brown people, a third Black people, a third white people in every school, and that means we're treating everybody equally. Meanwhile, the white parents would request that their kids be sent to the white schools in the suburbs in the town of Newburgh because those were in the best shape. I went to the inner city schools and they were much more run down. They were considered the undesirable schools to go to. So you're not actually making those schools better. In the case of Newburgh, you were just race mixing all of them so that you got the political virtue signal of saying, look, we care about everybody. We're sending a mix of students to each school. Meanwhile, what you're doing is you're really I won't go as far as to say you're destroying communities, but you're certainly undermining community when you bus kids from one community into 7 different schools. They don't get to know each other, they don't hang out together, they don't build friendships, right? All for what? Also, some virtue signaling libs can get a point for, oh, look how much we care that every school is perfectly mixed. What they don't do is invest in the inner city schools. That problem remains unsolved, and it sounds like what you're describing there. Yeah, it's crazy because Newburgh had a lot of urban renewal in the 60s as well. But one thing I wanted to just point out, because you spent a substantial portion of the film devoting to the planned redevelopment of White Stadium in Franklin Park. And I would just like you to talk a little bit about that because Boston is, of course, a big sports town. And it seems like this is a pattern with professional sports. Omali Yeshitela talks about how the Uhuru movement tried to organize against the Tampa Bay Rays stadium, which was built in the poor black area. That displaced a lot of people. So what is the state of that project? Because that's ongoing now, as I understand, right? They're basically turning a public space into a public-private partnership with a women's sports team going to call that stadium their home now.
That's correct. So White Stadium was given to Boston Public Schools. And because Boston is so dense, White Stadium was important because if you played a sport at one of the public schools in Boston and you were in that area, then that meant that if you played football, you would have your football games at White Stadium. If you were on the track team, like you would have those track meets at White Stadium. Mayor Wu has decided to go along with these investors, as they call it, to privatize it. So it has been taken away from Boston Public Schools, and it was given to these wealthy women who, and I really believe at some point, these investors are a part of Michelle Wu's political aspirations down the line. I don't think she just wants to remain mayor. People need to pay attention to her because she kind of flies under the radar. So those are probably the people who will be investing in her political future. And they've given it to developers. We're talking about a project that now costs over $100 million that taxpayers are going to be responsible for. And the community has risen up about this. They have pushed back. Mayor Wu is not one that doesn't meet with the people. She has been confronted multiple times. I confronted her 2 years ago about this housing situation. But at the end of the day, she goes along with big money interests. And this is a pattern that we have seen happen, in particular in Massachusetts. A lot of people who they run on progressive issues and progressive ideas, which I think a lot of us support. But it's like once they get into office, they end up doing the bidding of big money interests. And considering the fact that housing was her number one issue, and she's actually made things worse, the rate of gentrification under her mayorship has increased more than it was under Marty Walsh, more than it did under Mayor Menino. Mayor Menino was like mayor for 20 years. So put that into perspective. These sports teams that are coming in, right? So again, not unique to Boston. This happened in Los Angeles. It happened in Oakland, different places across the country. Boston does not need another sports team. We have 4 professional teams. They're pretty good. I mean, like we've won a lot of championships here.
Oh, I know. New Yorker, believe me, I know. I keep track.
Yeah. So this idea that, well, we need to bring in a women's soccer team here in Boston, it just, all the money is going into developing sports or, I don't know, another brewery or the developments that have happened in the Seaport District, which was very vacant when I first moved here. The only thing that was there when I moved here was Harpoon Brewery, and the rest of it was pretty empty. Right. But now if you go to Seaport in Boston, it's all these fancy restaurants and there's an ice cream museum there now. These are not things that people who are working class that grew up in Boston can afford to even participate in. These things that are being built for people who have money. They're being built for a lot of the college grads. You know, these schools here are very expensive. Boston University is more expensive than Harvard University, believe it or not. So a lot of the people, yes.
I didn't know that.
BU is ridiculously overpriced. So a lot of the people that come to these schools, a lot of these kids are coming from parents that have money and they're willing to spend it. And so a big part of the problem is what they're building is not for people who are lower income, not for people who are even many of them middle class. And so the whole sports franchise thing, it's been an issue. I know Robert Kraft, who is the owner of the Patriots and also the owner of the New England Revolution, he is also trying to make a stadium for the New England Revolution. That's the male soccer team that we have here in Boston. He wants that here too. And people have to remember, like, it's a dense city. We don't have a lot of space.
Too. Yeah, it's
yeah,
small.
that means that things are going to be knocked down so that he can get what he wants. This guy's a billionaire. So we got billionaires coming in and just basically pushing everybody else out. Now, a lot of people ask, well, what about working class white people in Boston? That there aren't many of them. There aren't many of us. It's not what you see when you watch these movies like The Town and The Departed. It's not like that. And a lot of the people who grew up in the area that still live here, again, they're in the neighborhoods that you are not going to venture into. They're they're in the southern part of the city. And I think that people really do need to look at everything that happened with urban renewal, because it's not just Boston, it's Detroit, it's Milwaukee, right? It's San Francisco. The fact that these city officials implemented a plan for a highway to go through a Black neighborhood. This happened all across the country. And there were many people that had their homes knocked down and were displaced. And those people weren't compensated for what they lost. This is very important. And then only to not even have the highway built. So we're talking about a loss of generational wealth. We're talking about people being shut out of city jobs. And these are the things, when we talk about systemic issues, these are the systemic issues. And I think a lot of times people don't want to get into that. So when we talk about class, and I talk about class a lot on my channel, but when we talk about class, it is very important that people understand, even within those classes, there were things that were targeted towards Black people that were not targeted towards other groups that are part of the same class. And there has been no repair. So what you are seeing, and I'm sure you're seeing this in New York City as well, that the Black voting populace is leaving. The numbers show that when you look at every racial group here in Boston, it is Black people that are the ones that are pushed out. We're the ones leaving. Every other group is increasing. So when it comes to the voting populace, just keep that in mind when you have like these mayor elections, when you have the governor races, and even for the presidential elections, a lot of those people have gone further south.
Well, when you talk about urban renewal, that has really been the shock troops of gentrification. And it's easy to sell to everybody because the conservatives like it, because they'll frame it to them as, you're cleaning up crime, you're cleaning up these neighborhoods. The libs like it because you're pitching it as you're finally going to improve these neighborhoods and improve the infrastructure in these neighborhoods. The way it winds up playing out in practice, and this is everywhere that I've seen this in effect. Once they go and they knock everything down in the interest of these projects, and they might build some parks, they might clean things up, it is not the people they say they were going to help that they help. The purpose of it, here it was Giuliani. Giuliani was the shock troop of gentrification. He came in and he sent out his Gestapo and cracked down, made the city palatable to the kind of wealthy clientele they wanted. They're not scared getting shot walking down the street. Is it safer and cleaner? Yes. For who? That's always the question. Who did you make it safer and cleaner for? It's the same story all over the country. I've been around the country a lot over the last couple of years. Everywhere you go, and this goes to your mayor there and the virtue signaling that you talk about, it's incredible, this kind of gentrification monoculture that's exactly the same everywhere you go. It's the same shit. It's the poke bowl place. It's the fabulous ramen noodles. It's all the same shit. It's the coffee places everywhere you go. Insofar as it's diverse, it's a diversity of people of the same class. Like these white liberals they are made uncomfortable by being around only white people. They like to have a few people around who are not white, of the type that are sponsoring that women's soccer team that you showed in your documentary. Those are the people they want to be around so that they can feel good about themselves. Look, we're making progress. They don't actually want to help poor people. That's what I've seen everywhere I've gone.
No, and once they come in with one project and they start to purchase more property and they take more property, like it's, we talk about colonialism a lot of times when I talk about Gaza, that Israel was just basically the last stage of colonialism, this idea of this greater Israel project. And essentially, people need to make the connection because all of us can see what's happening in Gaza. We've watched it live streamed for the past couple of years. So we can see it. We see the killing. We see the displacement. We see the ethnic cleansing, right? What people have to understand, no, they're not bombing Black communities, although if you look back in the 70s, there was a community in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania that was bombed, a Black community that was bombed to get them out of there. But they're cleansing the area here too.
Right.
They're getting rid of us too. Like they're not just this is a global thing. This idea that the people that they want in certain spaces are the people that they want to be around, more of the resources, the jobs, the cities. It's a reversed migration that we're seeing that's happening.
Right.
So back in the day, of course, there's white flight where white people left the city. Now we're seeing the exact opposite where
it's their grandkids coming back.
Exactly. They want this to be a place for people with money. Well, they say that, but here's what they're really saying. Who are the people that have money? Right? As a community, Black people, we don't. Right. We don't have it like that. Right now it is predicted that by 2050, we will have a net worth of $0. That's a fact. So we're not the ones with money. So pay attention to what they're really saying when they say we want people with money to move into the city and to invest. They're not talking about people like me. So this displacement that has been happening, it's global. It's happening all over the place. And I just think that there are different ways that it's been done. And I thought it was important to make this documentary about Boston because I think people have different I think a lot of people, they see it as a sports town or a college town. They don't know. When I did the screening recently at Roxbury Community College, even some of the people who came to the screening on the ground who live in Boston had no idea these things were happening. A lot of people don't know. If you don't live in those neighborhoods, you're not seeing this actually take place.
Yeah, no, you would never know. You would never know. That's 100% true. Okay, last topic. The whole film is great. Like I say, I encourage people to watch it. The most emotionally powerful part, in my opinion, is the last section, which deals with mass incarceration. So can you just sort of summarize that last piece of this, because you kind of break the film into different sections, a section on urban renewal, a section on redlining, and then the last one is mass incarceration. And this is, once again, a problem that I think a lot of people are under the misconception that is a bigger problem in the South than it is up north. We hear horror stories about Alabama prisons, Louisiana prisons all the time. But do you want to just set up that last piece of the film?
Yeah, Mac Hudson's story, I think, is very moving. When we filmed that, it was very hard for me, like listening to it, not to get teary-eyed when he talks about what happened to him. And he is someone that was wrongfully accused. He didn't commit the crime. But one of the other tools that has been used to remove Black people from these areas, from those neighborhoods in particular, is mass incarceration. And I want people to think back to the statement that came from Hillary Clinton about how they were predators, calling them super predators. They need to get them out. So that springboarded things. And eventually it got to the point where some of these states, they started to charge juveniles as an adult. So you're basically taking their future away from them. And in Mac Hudson's case, he was wrongfully convicted. But that's like a whole part of his life that he just can't get back.
Yeah, 33
And
years, right? He was away for
33 years. Wow. Just can't get back. And this is another tool that's used to erase Black people. And by the way, this plan didn't come out of nowhere. It didn't start, in Boston. We've all, I think by now, probably heard the videos or the audio of even Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon, even back then saying, we got to go after the Black people and we got to go after the hippies. So there are different tools that were used. And in this documentary talk about gentrification, urban renewal, redlining, and of course, last but not least, mass incarceration, which I think has been one of the most effective tools to remove, in particular, Black males out of Black neighborhoods, out of the household. And that hasn't changed. We have a for-profit prison system in this country. I really believe the reason why they don't want to legalize marijuana federally is because, cops can still use that to imprison you. They can still use that. If we legalize marijuana federally, then it's like, okay, we have all these people that have been locked up because of marijuana. Those people should be exonerated. I live in a state that legalized marijuana, and recreational marijuana we have recreational marijuana shops here as well. But all the people who have marijuana charges here in Massachusetts have not been exonerated for those charges. Right. Meanwhile, you have people making a profit off of it. It's a very, very sad reality. So there are different tools that have been used. And I think it's important that these issues are not just only addressed, but there needs to be some type of repair, right? So obviously, when we talk about city officials, Mayor Wu is not the governor of Massachusetts, but Maura Healey is. And Maura Healey, even right now, is trying to build and expand private prisons for women. This is a money-making system.
Right.
They want to lock people up. So all of these things together have led to the erasure of Black Boston. And when you compare Boston and at the rate that Black people are leaving, and you compare it to some of the other cities, you are going to see some similarities. And then you have to ask, what do all of these cities have in common? There are a lot of jobs here. A lot of people come here because of the jobs. A lot of people come here because of, college, right? Like Boston is number 2 for startups in the nation after Silicon Valley. I don't know if a lot of people realize that. So there's a lot that you can do here, but if you're slapped with the record, especially for something that you did not do, if you are displaced because of gentrification, if you're refused home loans because of redlining, all these things are working against you. It is going to be difficult for you to become that future generation of potential earners. And that's one of the things that Mac Hudson really breaks down.
Okay, well, the documentary is called Removed, Black Erasure in Boston, premieres in full high def at 4 p.m. Eastern today. So be sure to check that out. And then, Sabby, you're live this evening, right? You got a busy day.
Yes, I am. John Kiriakou is coming on tonight.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. I haven't seen him in a while, so it'll be great to talk to him and get his pick his brain a little bit about these Epstein Files and what he think is really going on here with even this Charlie Kirk situation, which I have a new update about that. So it'll be interesting.
All right. Well, after the Due Dissidents today, you heard it. You got a double feature on the Sabby Sabs channel. You got the movie and then the live stream. Sabby, great to talk to you again. Always great to see you. We should do it again sooner this time. Not let so much time pass, but really appreciate you taking the time. I know it's a busy day.
It's like 2 years, right?
Yeah, a long time. Yeah.
I've been so busy. And I do want to give respect and shout out to my editor, Scott Hanshew.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
Scott did an amazing job. I filmed this with cell phone. I don't have a professional camera.
Yeah,
I just
looked
used
great.
what I had. And Scott was able to
Sound
turn this
was
around
really
in a
good
way.
too.
Yeah. Great job to Scott.
Oh, it was great. No, it really looks and sounds great. It's very cinematic in that way. And yeah, congrats on it. I know it's a ton of work and paid off. And you are going to shop this around the festivals too, right?
Yeah, so that's what we're working with right now. We just met yesterday to get this into the film festival circuit. And I also am going to be meeting with another person who wants me to do a college tour for this documentary here in Boston. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Awesome. All right, Sabby. Well, thanks for taking the time today. I know you're extremely busy, but it was great to see you again. And congrats on the film. And we will see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Sabby.
Bye-bye. Round of applause for Sabby Sabs, everybody. Yeah, great film. Should everybody definitely check it out. Definitely check it out. It's great to see podcast peers getting into the filmmaking. Expanding beyond just these streams. So yeah, definitely great stuff. All right, let's take some super chats. Russ,
Somebody's gotta. Ellison is buying everything.
That's right. If we don't do it, who will?
He's not going to make a documentary about Boston gentrification. That's for sure.
That is for sure. That's for sure. Do you want to knock out some of these super chats? I got to step out for just a second.
Doke.
Okay, I'll be right back.
All right, Mark Glees. Sabby! Hope I did that justice, my friend. Me shoot skeet. Super sticker. Thank you. Sparky, what's up, man? You two hooligans, keep your paws off my girl Sabby. We would not dream about her husband would kick our asses. The People Infinite. Can't wait to see Go Sabby. When you all finishing Ruckus? You talking about the Jose documentary? That's been in the can for a long time. You might be talking about the Uhuru documentary. That's going to be a little while before I go to Asia. Me and Keaton are going to have to exchange footage. We still haven't done that. And then I'm going to have to edit from the road. It's going to be a while before we have the Uhuru documentary. Probably over the summer, tentatively, I would say. Doug Ritchie worked in Boston for almost 35 years. The pace of gentrification over the past 15 years has been alarming. Boston is rapidly becoming a gated community. Yeah, that's what they want for all of us, man. That's what I've seen everywhere I go. Sparky, I recall seeing the Boston school busing controversy on TV news in the 1970s. I could hear the visceral hatred from the white Bostonians interviewed. It made Deep South racism seem minor. Yeah, I didn't want to keep her too long. That was a whole other thing that maybe I will get into with her another time. I believe it's because the media is based in the North. They erase the realities of racism in northern cities. That's why most people don't hear about these things regarding Boston and other places, frankly. Dave, why do we take it as normal that cities are racially divided? Like they are. They are. Boston, not Buffalo. I was just in Buffalo, man. There's a street, as you see in many cities. There's a street that's Main Street there. On one side, it's black, and on the other side, it's another world. On the other side, it's all Thai food, and on the black side, it's all potholes.
Right.
David Cody Peppers, my 3 favorite podcasters together. Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
kind. Doug Ritchie, a picture taken during the busing riots of a person of color being assaulted by a white guy with flagpole is burned into my memory forever.
That is an image for sure.
You want to take some rumble rants?
Yep, we'll do that. Oh, George, thanks for the $50. Let's have a cowbell for Oh, George.
Thank you.
Says, wow, super excited about the show. Nothing like catching you guys live. Plus, Miss Salvati as a bonus. Nice. Saw the doc on her stream, and it's excellent. Also, a strong recommend on the follow. Thanks, oh, George. Appreciate that very much. Thank you very much, sir. Eric Rousseau says you should have several versions of intro and rotate them. Plenty of material to do it. Yeah, we could. we could do a different intro. Could have rotating intros. That's not a bad idea. Ex-Barbarian, thanks for the $10. Did you see Epstein went to Rothschild's bank on behalf of Israel?
I saw that. Yeah.
Can't help but wonder. Is any of this ideological or old tropes about BIS, WB, IMF, etc. tied to absolute control? Yeah, that's
saw
certainly not a good look.
Dropsite did that, right?
See, I didn't see that. I
did see that.
Xander Varkov says, an Epstein quote I heard last night. Turns out Trump is withholding the Epstein files because the crimes of the NWO satanic vampire playground enjoyers are too heinous that it will cause mass panic. There you go. Keeping it together.
Oh, boy.
Eric Rousseau, do you think gentrification affects poor whites as well, making this more of a class issue? It does affect poor whites, but as Sabby said, a lot of the white population gets replaced by the rich whites who move in once it's gentrified. So it does have the effect of displacing black people more than white people.
It does. There is a little bit of nuance, which again, I didn't want to keep her on here for 2 hours, but maybe forget to talk again. In Harlem, when I went door knocking for Bernie, that was one of the things I found really interesting because they sent me out in Harlem. A lot of the people answering the doors in the brownstones were wealthy black people. So that's a kind of gentrification you don't even think about that I think is kind of unique to certain areas. I think New York has a larger population of wealthy blacks to move into a neighborhood that's up and coming than a lot of other places would. And also Harlem is so storied that wealthy blacks from all over the world would want to buy a place in Harlem, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's unique to Harlem. But yeah, like there are nuances like that where it's not necessarily a rich white person moving into Harlem that's making the brownstones that expensive. In fact, what I found, at least when I was knocking on the doors then, was that was a minority, which also makes sense. Like, who really wants to be a rich white person who bought the brownstone in the middle of the most storied black neighborhood in America?
Well, Harlem was also designed to be a rich neighborhood. If you look at the infrastructure,
Well, it
there,
was, yeah.
It's all, you know.
Well, yeah, because they thought when the subway was getting built that the white merchant class would move.
That was going to be
uptown,
Westchester, basically.
but they didn't.
Yeah, that was going to be Chappaqua. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's move right on along. Let's get to some Epstein news. How about?
All right. So we're going to have one of my dramatic readings of our illustrious leaders' rantings.
There we
So
go.
as you probably heard, the Epstein Files are signed, sealed, not delivered, but signed and sealed anyway. So this is Trump's announcement. Jeffrey Epstein, who was charged by the Trump Justice Department in 2019, not the Democrats, was a lifelong Democrat, donated thousands of dollars to Democrat politicians, and was deeply associated with many well-known Democrat figures, such as Bill Clinton, who traveled on his plane 26 times, Larry Summers, who just resigned from many boards, including Harvard, sleazebag political activist Reid Hoffman, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who asked Epstein to donate to his campaign after Epstein was charged, Democrat Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, and many more. Perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their associations with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed because I have just signed the bill to release the Epstein Files. As everyone knows, I asked Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune to pass the bill in the House and Senate, respectively. Because of this request, the votes were almost unanimous in favor of passage. At my direction, the Department of Justice has already turned over close to 50,000 pages of documents to Congress, only the ones that were already available in court records. But still, do not forget, the Biden administration did not turn over a single file or page related to Democrat Epstein, nor did they ever even speak about him. You know, when you're right, you're right. He's right about that. Democrats have used the Epstein issue, which affects them far more than the Republican Party. I doubt that. In order to try and distract from our amazing victories, including the great big beautiful tax cut bill, strong borders, no men and women's sports, or transgender for everyone.
Yeah.
Ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, lowering prices, biggest tax and regulation cuts in history, ending 8 wars, rebuilding our military, knocking out Iran's nuclear capability, getting trillions of dollars invested in the USA, creating the hottest He went double there. He went all
Yeah.
caps and quotations. Country anywhere in the world, and even delivering a huge defeat to the Democrats on the recent shutdown disaster. For years, our great nation has had to endure Russia, 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 Ukraine, 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 impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, and many other Democrat-created witch hunts and scams, all of which have been so terrible and divisive for our country and have been done to confuse, deflect, and distract from the great job that Republicans and the Trump administration are doing. This latest hoax will backfire on the Democrats, just as all of the rest have. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. So Thomas Massey here. Donald Trump just signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act that Rokan and I forced through Congress. AG Pam Bondi now has 30 days to release the files. All right, so the clock is ticking. So here's Pam Bondi being asked, will you release all the files in 30 days?
Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. The law passed both chambers last evening. It has not yet been signed, but we will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Madam Attorney General, the DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information.
Unbelievable.
There's information that new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come forward, and we will continue to provide maximum transparency under the law.
Yeah, you just look forward. You got those crazy eyes. If you look at her, it's going to give up the whole game. It's going to be too distracting. Just look forward.
I did a whole rant on this on Jimmy's last night. I won't repeat it now for time's sake, but that is just such an outrageous load of bullshit that new information has come to light. So if new information has come to light, where was the follow-up memo? Because you released a big memo in July saying that the case was dead. So by saying now that new information has come to light, you're admitting that either that memo was sent out of extreme incompetence to prematurely close the Epstein case, or that you were lying and that actually no new information has come to light and that you're covering up the same information now as you were back then. Just an outrageous answer. Unbelievable.
So Clint Russell, okay, so we've now gone from we're releasing the files to here are the binders to Epstein traffic to no one to it's a Democrat hoax to the disclosures being required by law to this. A new investigation with new info, which will seal the docs again. Fire Bondi. Well, why would they fire her? She's doing exactly what she's been instructed to do.
The issue with the new information that you just indicated is the department seeking information perhaps from the Epstein estate because Mr. Blanche did not have that information when he interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell. What new information, and would you limit the new investigation to just those named persons that the president talked about, or is this a broad, open-ended investigation?
I would refer to the Deputy Attorney General's post that he put out on X, and we're not going to say anything else on that because now it is a pending investigation in the Southern District of New York. But you're on point.
Okay, all right. So this is how full of shit they are. Pam Bondi is not even doing her Blanche Dubois act. She is so deeply uncomfortable and so focused on trying to sell this and not look guilty that she's not even going to her default aggrieved act. How dare you? There are children. There are videos of children. What kind of pervert are you, sir? She's not even going there, man. She's like, yeah, it's with the Southern District. You'll have to call them. Can I leave now? Can I go now? And look at crazy eyes over here.
Yeah.
Crazy. Am I done yet? Will you release my nephew? Will you release my nephew? Wow, man.
I should have just
Wow.
started another podcast. I don't know why I got into why I get myself.
I should have
into
just
this.
kept podcasting. More money in podcasting.
Yeah.
So the Epstein Files bill, pointed out here by Disclosed TV, grants Attorney General Pam Bondi the authority to withhold or redact any material that could endanger national security or jeopardize an active federal investigation. So David Icke here says, why Trump suddenly went from it's a hoax to we are launching an active federal investigation into Democrats alleged to be in the Epstein Files. The manipulation is so transparent because Trump is so desperate. Why would he be so desperate, perchance? Well, New Mexico Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury claims to have seen the files. I wasn't aware that the Congress people can actually see the files now before they're released. But this is part of what she says she found.
With you guys, I actually went through the files this weekend in depth. Donald Trump is not only named over and over in them, it is discussed this trial in which he was accused of raping a 13-year-old at Epstein's house. There is extensive discussions about a subpoena of Donald Trump in one of Jeffrey Epstein's cases in which he was accused for rape and sexual abuse. He was subpoenaed and gave a deposition in that case. There is extensive discussion between Donald Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Mr. Wolf about not only Trump coming to his house, but Epstein says in these emails that he has photographs of Trump with girls.
Well, that seems bad.
Yeah, that could be why they announced an investigation. That might be why they're desperate. Thomas Massey claims that this is not going to work because there are simply too many victims. This is what he said.
And so I expect today or very soon the president will sign the bill to release the Epstein Files. And it's a quick timeline in there. We said that within 30 days they have to release these files. And we put some very tight guardrails on the things that they could redact. There's concern that the president's going to open a bunch of investigations to keep the disclosures from happening. Here's the reality. There are 1,000 victims of Epstein's sex trafficking ring. There are dozens of perpetrators. There's no way he can open enough investigations to keep us from getting the files that will implicate most of these men. So I think we're going to see justice. I'm excited. If there's any hope, you've seen it here today and yesterday here in the House of Representatives that we can actually get a bill passed if the people want it bad enough. Thank you.
That's incredible. I mean, that's really incredible. When you think about 1,000 victims and dozens of perpetrators, that is a direct refutation of the DOJ and the FBI statement that there was no network.
Yeah, Cash Patel told John Paul Kennedy he didn't traffic to anybody.
No.
It's nobody that he trafficked to. I guess that's why Ghislaine is getting Manny Petties there in prison now, because she didn't do anything. How can you traffic nobody, right? So the nuclear option, which both Massey and MTG have threatened, is that if the DOJ redacts any of the names from the Epstein files, they will personally read the names on the House floor. And at least some of the victims have said they will stand right there next to them as they do it. So Trump is in quite a pickle here. His Truth Social post, typical bravado and deflection. It's kind of interesting. A lot of people, biographers who have delved into his relationship with Roy Cohn, who was like a mentor to him, say that one of the things he really got from Roy Cohn was always be on the attack and never concede anything.
Right.
And that is his default, man. I mean, going all the way back to McCain, I prefer soldiers who haven't been captured, right? I mean, that's a Roy Cohn classic right there. And that's what he's going to do, man. It doesn't matter what they find. He's just going to keep denying it and trying to blame it on the Democrats. Now, yes, certainly all of this about the Biden administration and the hypocrisy of Democrats, we just saw it. They rallied to a person, including Ro Khanna, to protect Stacey Plaskett. So they're still, even in the face of the release of these files, prepared to protect their own. It seems like they're not prepared to protect their own if they're not in office anymore, at the very least. And they're feeling like, well, how many people who are still in office are going to have been on that island doing shenanigans? So fuck it. It's going to hurt Trump more than it's going to hurt us.
Yeah, that's one dynamic. I do think another dynamic is this Project 2025 shit, is this authoritarian power grab that this administration has been running. Like, when you do shit like that, you make the opposition party desperate to the point where, like, we have to do everything we can to assert some power. Otherwise, we're just going to be steamrolled. So what is the power that Congress has? Congress has the power to do shit like this. And yeah, there's going to be some collateral damage. That's just the price of doing business, because the alternative is we just get rolled, right? Like, if the administration had not been so aggressive and so determined to just centralize power within the executive, then you may not have seen this, because your opposition wouldn't have been so desperate. Trump wasn't doing all this shit in his first term, and this stuff didn't come up. This stuff didn't come up. Now you say, well, the case hadn't really exploded yet, but they knew who Epstein was, and they knew he knew him. And so if they wanted to create massive political problems for him, certainly during the campaign, they could have run on this in 2020, right? Because by then Epstein had been whacked, and, they knew Trump knew Epstein. Like, the reason this didn't come up before is there's a lot of reasons why this didn't come up in the past. Part of it is the Democrats are guilty too, and part of it is they didn't see the juice as being worth the squeeze because they didn't feel as desperate or as threatened. Now they do, and so all bets are off.
Well, and I think also this has been driven by Republicans, man, and the Democrats jumped on.
Yeah,
I'd say Massey really drove it, along with a lot of Trump's base that just wasn't having it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the Democrats this time saw an opportunity to jump on, right? Yeah. They're like, all right, we'll give you 200 and some odd votes. You just get 3 or 4 and we're good. Sure. We got it. And they got it. And that piece you played on, what was it, NBC or something, talking about how he's named. I mean, this is extraordinarily damning stuff. And not only for Trump, but for Pam Bondi, for Cash Patel. These people put their names on a document saying there was nothing more to see, that there was no sex trafficking ring, that Epstein was the only perp. Maxwell funneled girls to him. 1,000? He funneled 1,000. On top of that, Massey says dozens of perpetrators. So yeah, no, this is a ticking time bomb. There's no other way to describe it. And now the clock starts. 30 days. What will they do? Within 30 days, they're going to have to come up with some bullshit story, and none of it's going to stick. People are not going to buy it. It's it. That's it. It's done.
I say increasingly with some confidence, a lot of these people are going to wind up in prison.
Yes, and I don't believe Donald Trump is going to finish this term. They're going to have to force him out. They're going to have to. They're going to have to negotiate an exit, or else impeach him. Like, this is too damaging. If what that woman said is true, he's going to be impeached now. Democratic majority or no Democratic majority. It's not a politically survivable event to have that come out about the president and for you to go to bat for him the year of midterm. Forget it. Forget it. It's game over. It's game over. And the reason Trump thought he could get away with this the whole time is because he was running against an extremely corrupt party who had reason to hold their fire, because a lot of them are going to go down, and a lot of them are going to go down. But I think that what the difference is, you've backed them into a corner where this is the only way they can assert their power. You know, you didn't want this to happen. Maybe you shouldn't have sent the National Guard to California, right? Like, they are connected in that way. When you consolidate power, you make your opposition desperate to grasp onto any kind of power, which means they're willing to do more and more severe things in order to get that power back.
Yeah, those are nuances that when you're a hammer, seeing everything as a nail, you don't pick up on.
Exactly. And it's not just Trump. The whole cabinet, they are clowns.
They're all
of these people are insane clowns. They're
Yep.
all crazy. Yeah. So
Fish rots from the head.
that's exactly right. All right, what do we got here? Kawaii Cowboy, Sabby on DD. It's like my first love and my main squeeze are meeting up. I don't want to even ask you who's who. All right, but thank you, Kawaii Cowboy. Appreciate that. Eric Rousseau, Night at the Roxbury. Thanks, Eric Rousseau. How often do you think of the Roman Empire? Haha, good one. The last thing Boston needs is another brewery. That's right, Stoop Sign. Plenty of breweries in Boston, and plenty of people to indulge them. All right, Vienticus Prime. Everything's a scam. Everything's a lie. Everything's hypocrisy. I say in vocal fry. Thank you, Vienticus. Appreciate that. Okay, Nocturnal Human says, I assume
You just reminded me. I got to read that Taibbi article.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, wow, that aged like milk,
Epstein
huh?
Files.
Like Russiagate.
Russiagate.
that really aged well, huh? I assume you two probably like that.
Oh, that's not new. That's an old one.
No, I'm saying it aged well. No, it's a new one, but it already aged poorly.
Right.
It already aged poorly. If Thomas
It
Massey's
aged
out,
poorly before he started writing it.
Yeah, exactly. Nocturnal Human says, I assume you two probably like to have creative control of the documentary, but maybe consider asking Sabby to contact her editor for help if you need it. Yeah, we'll see what everything looks like in terms of graphics, in terms of what we're going to do. We're still in the process of getting all the footage together. But yeah, no, her editor did a great job. He did a great job. It's a very polished and professional looking piece for sure.
We have a young boy we keep in a cage because most of our
Yeah.
editing is cheaper.
Yeah, right, exactly. All right, let's take some super chats.
Russell's philosophical perspective is unmatched. Thank you. It's very nice of you. I get most of my takes from ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Sparky, it wasn't bad in the 70s and 80s when it was the avant-garde, edgy, and creative whites moving back into cities. It got bad when developers got dull-witted, boring, NPC suburban whites to move in. You know, I gotta tell you, man, that's an interesting conundrum as somebody who is a white person from the arts. You know, that's always a thing because the artist moving in is the first wave of gentrification. And, you know, they don't mean to do it, but there's a certain kind of rich person. And this is forever. This goes way back. Wealthy people have always liked to have artists living in their area. They've always seen that as elevating the neighborhood. In the old days, they would actually invite the artist to live where they lived. Now the wealthy move to where the artists live, and then the artists can't afford to live there anymore, along with the usually non-white population whose neighborhood they moved into in the first place because it was cheap.
Right.
So yeah, man, I very often now when I look at a lot of the arts from the 80s and 90s, I want to do true stories on a movie night because it really captures white people problems in a lot of ways. I love that movie, but it's something that I think is more evident in hindsight than it was at the time. That like you're very lucky to have problems like this for your problems to be existential. Roger Meadows, Willie D of Ghetto Boys did segment on states being sued by private prisons for not honoring the contract for not sending them prisoners. Really?
Wow.
That sounds like an interesting story. The Yuppies. My mother, who was born and raised North Shore of Boston, is plenty racist. However, she said after the footage of busing, she's opposed it because of how savagely the black students were treated. So it was too much for your racist mom, huh? Worskill, Juby. Love you, Sabby. Xander Vorkov. I love how Russ's Trump impression has gone full on Dr. Evil. Yeah, I'm just leaning into it at this point. Brad Gilbert, chump, you were a lifelong Democrat. Pot to kettle. Yeah, that's true. All right, we want to move on.
He was a Democrat probably when he was involved with Epstein. That's the irony.
Yeah.
Now that's going to be his last line of defense. I was a Democrat back then, so it's a Democrat problem.
I was a Democrat until the Democrats nominated a black.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I realized it wasn't a good home for me. It wasn't a good fit.
Yeah, I didn't leave them. They left me.
They left me.
Yeah. That's funny. All right, we'll move right on along here. All right, folks. So ICE is in Charlotte, and this has been a somewhat trending topic for the last week or so, and so I want to get into this a bit here. ICE and Border Patrol agents are already assaulting U.S. citizens in Charlotte, North Carolina, and pretending it's routine. A man was stopped twice by agents. He showed his ID the first time, and they left. Then another group rolled up, smashed his window, ripped him out of his car, and assaulted him, even as the victim and the man filming yelled that he had already proven his citizenship. Only after brutalizing him and illegally detaining him did the agents realize he was a citizen and let him go. WCNC has confirmed the incident and interviewed the victim, verifying exactly what happened. So we're going to see this from a few different angles. First, this is from the Good Samaritan, I guess you could say, the guy who's trying to get them to stop as they're dragging him out of his truck.
Again? Oh, what the fuck? I'm backed up. I'm backed up. I'm backed up. What happened? What happened? They just ID'd him. They just ID'd him. The other guys. Don't you fucking guys coordinate with each other? They just ID'd him. They just ID'd him. You broke his fucking windows. There was another truck that was here and ID'd him already. The fuck is going on? Just show me your ID again. This is bullshit. What the fuck? Hey.
Fucking scum of the earth, man.
What the fuck? Indeed. So now let's take a look at the news report of this event.
Video capturing the moment federal agents smashed their way through a driver's side window looking for undocumented migrants Saturday morning.
The border officer is very angry. I feel like too scary, you know.
Willie Acetuna found
Just to pause, this is what arrogant scum this administration is too. You notice how they come up with these cute names for everything: Alligator, Alcatraz, Charlotte Web. This is the kind of arrogance that just alienates people. Like, this is the kind of just scumbaggery
I didn't
and
even know about
trolling
that.
yeah, they call it Charlotte Web. Very, 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 very clever.
himself at the end of an agent's baton while shooting this video. He says he knows why he was targeted.
This is not looking for criminals, really looking for Latino people.
He suffered minor injuries and agents did not arrest him, he says, for one major reason.
I got papers in that country.
Border Patrol officials fanned out along South Boulevard and east of Charlotte. Some witnesses telling us suspects were chased down on foot and by car as officials swarmed the area. Latino businesses along South Boulevard were locked up and dark. Many chose to close up, funneling many of their employees out the back door. Those businesses who remained open faced empty stores.
Some of the business on this shopping center is closed today.
Anselmo Martinez just opened an ice cream parlor 2 weeks ago, which Saturday looked more like a ghost town. He said many in the community are too afraid to come out, including his 12-year-old son.
He's nervous. He's afraid something happened to us.
Now, of course, the Chud's response to all this, well, if you're not illegal, you got nothing to worry about. Well, that's obviously not true. You just saw it happen to this guy. Not only does this guy have papers, guess who he voted for? Donald Trump. Now he's asked about that vote.
You told me that you voted for President Trump in 2024. Do you regret that decision? ¿Te arrepientes esa decisión?
Yes, 100%.
Why do you regret that decision?
That's because it's nothing that's true. It's not true. You know, and the first time he says something, and now, example, in the Latino people, we see everything is different. And the first time, example, he say he go to catch the delincuentes. Criminals, yeah. And right now, he don't follow to criminals. He go to specific to Latino people. Why Latino people? Because in the last Saturday, example, behind to me, I see the white people, the black people, and some people, Indian people, and Chinese people, and me. The DHS come specific to me and catch to me, not other people, because don't care to other people, specific Latino people.
Yep, and that's why all of the gains that Donald Trump made with Latino voters were completely erased in 2025, and they're going to be erased and then some at this rate in 2026. No doubt.
The whole
in my
Republican
mind.
Party, man, lost a
course.
generation of Latinos with this.
Yep. Charlotte, North Carolina reels as 81 people arrested in immigration raids. Many communities in Charlotte, North Carolina were reeling after federal Customs and Border Protection teams descended on the city at the weekend and arrested at least 81 people, while normally thriving immigrant enclaves and business districts came to a standstill. Federal agents were deployed in what the Department of Homeland Security, the parent agency of CBP and ICE, calls Operation Charlotte's Web, sparking protests. For the first time in 28 years, the popular Manolo's Bakery closed for the weekend. Our city has gone from a thriving city to a standstill, Charlotte City Council member-elect J.D. Mazuera Arias said in a telephone interview as he drove to the bakery to be in solidarity with his community as people came out to demonstrate against the crackdown. So here is footage from freedomnews.tv, Olia Scootercaster. For the first time in 28 years, I will be closing the bakery, and I don't know when I'm going to reopen, spoke Manolo, the owner of Manolo's Latin Bakery in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Very sad. I think anyone who has feelings, anyone who says and loves God, shouldn't be against the family separation. And that's the worst thing. You know, forget about the money I'm not going to be making tomorrow. Forget about if I get behind my taxes. Forget about, you know, if I don't get the money to pay the rent this month. What we're never going to be able to change is all those children that lost their fathers and their mothers today, man. You know, they are our most precious treasure. They are our future, and they're the ones that we need to protect. So insanity and humanity is what came to Charlotte today. It will be one of the darkest days in our Charlotte history.
So you see how, you know, everybody pays for this, right? And this is a large part of why the Latino community at large is turning on the Republican Party. Because for all the chuds talking about how it's only illegals, well, obviously, no, it's fucking not. Because when they make mistakes, quote unquote, and brutalize people who are citizens and people who have papers, that has a chilling effect on the entire community, where now businesses are closed. So now you're costing people money. Now they gotta, figure out how they're gonna get bills paid, because people who have nothing to do with the immigration system at all can't just go and do business as usual without fear that they're going to get mixed up in this. So this is how you get an entire community to turn against you. And frankly, everyone should turn against them for this. Speaking on the phone from one of the laundromats he owns in East Charlotte on Saturday morning, David Rebelloso fought back tears. "I'm heartbroken, really," he said, adding that his business has gone down significantly in the last week as reports circulated that CBP was coming to town. Many of his customers are construction workers who use his coin-operated machines to wash their weekly laundry. In a press statement released on Sunday morning, the advocacy organization Siembra North Carolina said Saturday was when the most immigrants were arrested in a single day in state history. "This is what I voted for. Shoot it into my veins." These incidents include citizen reports of landscapers accosted in a suburban neighborhood in East Charlotte while putting up Christmas decorations. Let's take a look at that incident.
¿Eres, señor? ¿Tú eres ciudadano americano?
We're federal agents, sir, here to enforce immigration laws.
Good morning. Señor. Señor.
Again, these guys are just out there harassing workers. These aren't like suspects of anything. They just see brown people doing their jobs and pull over and decide they're going to harass them for their paperwork. Who carries paperwork on them when they're doing manual labor? I don't keep my when I go to do a manual project, I don't keep my wallet. You keep your pockets empty. Like what? Like it's just fucking insane. There they go in their unmarked minivan. They pull over, they harass them, and they leave. Listen to this.
Get the hell out of my yard, you assholes.
Assholes. That's not a Latino. That's a down-home country woman. Sounds like a white woman. Sounds like a MAGA woman. Not to profile, but she's not liking that. Yeah, who would? So you pay people to come and landscape your lawn, and then these fucking goons pull over and start harassing them for their papers. Like, what effect does this have on the community at large? Latino, non-Latino, anybody who's not a deranged fucking maniac is going to be outraged by this. And there aren't enough deranged maniacs in the country to constitute a political majority. There just aren't. Here's another angle on this. Here's another incident of the trespassers just coming onto people's property and harassing people doing work.
Dennis, you remember which hospital? Lake Side or Lake View. It's over there in Okay, cool. I appreciate you chatting with me, man. I'm just it's all good. I think you gotta do a job. So you guys
this guy's very diplomatic. The guy up on the roof. He says, "No, I know it's all good. I know you guys are just doing your job. Just doing your job. This is America. It's the fucking United States of America. You got goons coming onto private property for absolutely no reason. Yeah, in mask with no reason to be suspicious at all, asking where you're from. That's America. That's don't tread on me. That this is a free country.
No, I got you. How about you, sir, in the hat? What's your name? Caleb Hunt. I was born in St. Charles Hospital, Luland. Okay.
Going around asking these people where they're born, as if it's any of your fucking business. You have absolutely no rights to do that. None.
And you, ma'am?
My name is Pamela Gabriel.
Huh?
Pamela Gabriel.
Okay. Where were you born at?
Ecuador.
Ecuador?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have a passport and visa?
Yes, sir.
Again, what the fuck? Like, what gives you the right to say that? Like, is she a suspect? Do you know who this person is? Do you have any reason to believe they've done something wrong? Like, it's incredible.
Would you mind if I take a look at it?
Yeah, no
Take
problem.
a look at it. I'm up on the fucking roof. I'm on a fucking roof. What, I gotta climb down off the roof and go show you my passport? Who carries their passport with them? Like, what?
Okay, awesome. You, sir?
I'll say, sure, I got it here. Why don't you come up on the roof and I'll show it to you? That's what I said. Yeah, I got it right here. I'm working. So you come here. Yeah.
I was born on Go Fuck Your Mother Boulevard. It's at the corner of your father's a Cuck Street.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I would have said, yeah, sure. There's a ladder on the side of the house. Why don't you come up here? I'm working. I don't have time for this. You're on the clock. I'm on the. We're both working here. So you come up and show it. I'll show it to you. Look at this. Unbelievable. Not an isolated incident. Here they are again. A group of ICE CBP in American flag masks, that's a metaphor, are going around and stopping people randomly in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm spitballing here. Stopped due to a brownish hue of epidermis. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Back up.
I'm good.
I'm going to need you to back up.
You just walk closer to me, sir.
Another guy doing his job. See, this is what happens when you force middle-aged white people to wear a mask at Applebee's for 6 months 5 years ago. This is the kind of reaction you get society-wide. I mean, could you imagine if any of those people were just stopped at their workplace and asked to show their papers, right? I mean, just absolutely despicable. Here we go. Why children are in fear of ICE in North Carolina. ICE is Trump's private army. So here's like a charity daycare type center.
Report! The ICE is on campus! Everybody inside! Doors closed! We're not letting anybody in? You put up barricades.
Those were the scenes here in Charlotte, North Carolina, when Border Patrol was spotted on the premises of this nonprofit, which provides child care services for the children of refugees and immigrants.
they do not honor children. They do not care about the humanity of children.
But this nonprofit is not letting fear stop them from making a difference. We've seen volunteers all day packing up items, donated items like beans, like oil, cereal. Come look over here, water, coffee, milk, everyday goods that parents are afraid to go out of their homes to get for their children in fear and uncertainty that they might not be able to come back home.
We have had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people either donating, volunteering. We also want to make sure that our families know that when they're home right now, afraid and scared and feeling like they have to stay in, there's people who have that privilege who are all around the city coordinating and doing things for them.
Now, in a statement, the Department of Homeland Security has denied targeting a daycare center, but we got a hold of some footage showing Border Patrol agents on the premises of this nonprofit, Our Bridge for Kids.
What you're seeing right now is security footage provided to MS Now from Our Bridge for Kids, which says that this footage depicts Border Patrol agents parking in their parking lot, something they say has happened multiple times this week.
And the need for this food is so great right now because we just got numbers from Charlotte-Mecklenburg Public School District, which showed that as many as 30,000 students were absent from school this week, a full 20% of the student body.
There are kids that just want to talk about Pokemon and K-pop demon hunters. They want to talk about their Halloween candy that they brought for lunch. They want to talk about what the read aloud book is. You know, they want to just be children, and we're robbing them of that. We are robbing them of the opportunity to just be innocent.
Yep. Now, let's say you're not an immigrant. Let's say you're not even Latino. Let's just say you care about the price of goods in the store. Let's say you care about the business community being able to thrive. I submit this for your consideration. Susie Rizzio tweets, the farmers of North Carolina, like this man, is telling you when you go to try and buy his fruit and vegetables grown in North Carolina, you won't be getting much because there will be a shortage since there won't be enough workers to help harvest them this year because of the ice raids. Now, once again,
what about the Medicaid recipients?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I thought they were going to put them out in the fields.
Yeah. Can't those Medicaid recipients or those SNAP recipients go out and pick strawberries? Maybe Batyungar Sargon could come to North Carolina and pick strawberries for the season. Now, once again, to preempt the charge, well, this guy shouldn't be hiring illegals. There's no evidence of that. We just showed you, 4 different videos of ICE agents just going and harassing people at work at random, whether they're citizens or not. They just smashed the guy's window.
And again, hey, if you're really concerned about that, you don't have to hire any new agents. You don't have to build any new facilities. You go after employers.
Right.
Done.
Exactly.
Done.
Exactly. So here he is explaining.
Carolina, and I can tell you for a fact that these raids will not make our state more safe, but they will make it more expensive, and it will be a stain on all of us. In May, when we start harvesting strawberries after the toll of deportation raids and the psychological trauma inflicted on the Latino communities continue to fester, farms like us aren't going to have our usual labor. We've already been told there's going to be a shortage. I spoke with one farmer who's posted locally for jobs harvesting produce for 10 years, and he's never had a local person apply. He doesn't even know what he's going to do next year. The people being rounded up are hardworking individuals, not criminals, and the blunt force tactics are only meant to make people afraid. They're not targeted, they're biased against people who don't look like me. Many of the people affected are working on our farms, building our houses, constructing our roads. They're the hardest working people I know. They're humble and kind with actual family values. I believe a day of reckoning will come, but unfortunately not just for the people perpetuating this awful tragedy, but for us as a country for letting it happen. Have the day you voted for.
Yep. Now here's Wall Street Apes, a moron account. So this is the kind of chud account I was telling you about. This is their line on this. Uptown Charlotte, North Carolina job sites reported empty due to ICE raids. They act as if this is a good thing. Why? Because not a single worker is there. All workers were illegal. No, it does not mean all workers were illegal. It means all workers don't want to be harassed by masked goons with guns on them for doing their job. That's what that means. This is happening in all 50 states. Yeah.
Who clearly have less training than the average Target checkout counter worker.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So they actually post this as an own, as if this is a win. Empty job sites. I'll kill the music just in case. Empty job sites. Yeah, no, that's what you voted for. This is making America great again, bringing entire towns and cities, ironically, into lockdown mode. because they can't go out of work. I thought you guys were against lockdowns. I thought I thought that's Nazi shit. I thought that's, totalitarian. No. It's okay when brown people are locked down, I guess. Right? But when white people are asked to stand 6 feet apart at a 7-Eleven, that's a time for revolution. But no, brown people can be terrorized into staying home all day, not going out, dropping their kids at daycare, not going out picking up supplies, not going to work. This is what they're afraid of. ICE Border Patrol agents assaulted and kidnapped a U.S. citizen, then dumped him on the side of the road 2 miles away. So, this is what those workers were afraid. This is why they didn't show up. Not because they're illegal, because of shit like this, because of citizens being treated like this. Let's take a look.
Yeah. Mira cómo me tienen, güey. Mira cómo me tienen la verga, bro. Mira cómo me tienen, güey. Mi cartera, culero. Mi cartera. Mira cómo me hacen. Hijo de su puta madre, güey. Mira. Mira, güey.
Look at that. They drive him out to the middle of nowhere. They see who he is. They give him his shit back. Throw it on the floor. They leave.
Chinga su puta madre. Chinga su puta madre, bro.
So that's why that job site is empty. Not because everyone there is illegal, but because citizens can get treated like that. Or worse. These ones who don't get actually detained, they're the lucky ones. They're the lucky ones. What do we say? 170 were actually detained so far, and that's probably an obsolete number by now. That number came out some time ago. Well, once again, folks, the kids are all right. 30,000 students just walked out in Charlotte to protest ICE. When kids are willing to shut down an entire city to push back on state power, that's a political awakening. Here they are. Oh, there it is. Sorry, my Wi-Fi just cut out there for a moment. All right, I'm back now, right, everybody? Everybody can see me here, okay? All right, cool. All right, so here's another protest. This was a little less civil. This has some colorful language here. Here's Border Patrol confronted by locals and protesters at Compare Foods supermarket in Charlotte, North Carolina.
¡Hola, la chingada de aquí! ¡La chingada de aquí! ¡Órale, no nos queremos!
What the fuck are you doing? Border Patrol! Border Patrol's out! Warning!
We're conducting immigration inspections to answer your question.
Get the fuck out of here!
We're not going to, okay, ma'am? We're not going to.
Well, we're not going to stop either then, because it's not cool. Border Patrol! Border Patrol!
¡No vengan aquí al compadre, raza! Vayan a sus casas.
Fuck away, motherfucker! Half of y'all look like leaders anyway! Get the fuck out of here!
Get the fuck up out of here! Hey, I don't like the way. I don't. Suck my dick! I'm not going to. Suck my dick! I'm not going to.
Suck my dick. I'm not going to. I'm not going to. Not right now. Not right now. What's your phone number?
Came off, Adolf.
What's your phone number? I'll meet you later, but not now. Not with everyone around. Not going to.
No vengan.
There's a glory hole at the Jackson Road. Meet me there.
Yeah, exactly. What's going on here? Why is this shit?
Vayan a sus casas. Fuck away, motherfucker! Half of y'all look like leaders anyway! Get the fuck out of here!
Get the fuck up out of here! Hey, I don't like the way. I don't. Suck my dick!
I don't like the way you're talking to me. Suck my dick. There you go. There you go. So yeah, I mean, that's what you have in Charlotte, North Carolina. And you wonder why the whole country is turning on you. It's not just immigrants. It's not just Latinos.
No,
it's everybody. When you terrorize a city like that, look at what you're doing to the whole community. You got people can't open their businesses. Workers can't go to work. People have to stay home. They can't drop their kids at school. Like, you're just creating an atmosphere of terror. How is this good for anybody? In order to believe this, you just have to be a sadistic moron to think that this is helpful in any way. So you see something like this and you ask yourself, gee, how did the Republicans just give the Obama coalition back to the Democrats? This is how.
Yep.
This is how. Because it's not just Latinos. It's not just, I mean, this extends to everybody. And you saw the city respond. You got homeowners, the down home country lady, the homeowner telling, like, get that assholes. Because how is that making her life? How are you making her life better? How are you making her safer? How are you making her more prosperous? By going down there and shaking down the people who she hired to do her lawn. Like, it's so unbelievably destructive. And you see now the community response is what is encouraging, even in a city like North Carolina. There's a Senate race coming up in North Carolina. You think the Republicans are going to win that Senate race this year? You don't think these communities are going to turn out in overwhelming numbers by huge margins to vote against the party that they feel is responsible for this? They don't even have to like Democrats. Democrats have an approval rating in the 20s. Does not matter. Does not matter. They are going to come out and vote against this to the extent that they can. Obviously, I'm not saying that put a Democrat in control and these problems go away, but this goes away. This goes away. Like, you can't vote again. You can't vote for a humane immigration system. You can vote against that. You can vote against that. We didn't see that 2 years ago. We didn't. If we're being real, no, we did not. They hold the Republicans responsible for this, as they fucking should. And they're going to make that opinion known next year. Sure as I'm sitting here.
Yeah. This is just really the counterpart of the Democrats' identity politics, which is of a different kind. This is white identity politics. A lot of people have said that's what the Republicans are. It's exactly what they are. In both cases, the reason they need identity politics is they're not going to do shit for you economically.
Right.
They do not want you talking about economics. They do not want you talking about class. And they certainly do not want you coming for their donors or for the people who their careers rely upon, which are basically the same people. You just saw Eric Adams go to Israel. What's that about? That's about lining up his next gig. It's not for New York City. He's out of office in a month and a half.
Right.
No deals he's going to be able to make. He's a lame duck. He's got one foot out the door. That's lining up his next gig. How do they get you to vote for them in that case? On both sides, they've got to play on issues of identity to obscure what they really are. Because what you have to remember, in the end, if you ever rode horses, you ever drove horses, something you find out the first time you have a horse spook is your control over the horse is psychological. They don't understand how strong they really are. When they get scared, that bit won't stop a horse. That bit won't stop. They'll fucking run right through that. Your control is psychological. That's what the workers are, man. It's fucking billions of us. It's a few thousand of them. The control they have is purely psychological, and they know it. They know if that group ever rushes, they're not going to be able to control it. So all of their efforts are aimed at breaking down workers mentally and dividing them against each other. This is just the Republican GOP version of it that's designed really to appeal to white people. Then you have the Democrat version that is also designed to appeal to white people, but a different kind of white person and minority groups who are terrorized by this. They're terrorized by this. This is such a gift to them. Yeah, it is kind of amazing because you see this Latino who voted for Trump. Yeah, man, if they had gone forward with this, this is something Democrats won't tell you. The foulness of human nature knows no race. You have a lot of people who were perfectly happy to support the oppression of other people. They just didn't think they were on the menu, right? Now they found out they're on the menu. They're not going to get to pull the ladder up behind them like they thought they were going to. They thought the Republicans actually liked them. No, 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 no. As we'll see in our next segment. No, they never liked you. They used you. They don't actually like you. And in the end, their core base, as they see it, are this disaffected, very racist white working class. That's the audience that they're playing to. And in order to play to that audience, they need to brutalize you whether you voted for Trump or not.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you said, they had an opportunity, and I wrote a whole article about this. They had a historic opportunity to redraw the political map in terms of the demographic composition of each party. That guy voted for Donald Trump. You think he's not going to go out and vote for whatever idiot the Democrats are? Of course he is.
Of course.
Of course he is. Yeah. Who wouldn't? Like,
Right.
who wouldn't in his situation?
Well, this is where, hey, man, you want to see it in real time because in our generations, we haven't really seen Bull Connors. We haven't seen that in our lifetime. So I think a lot of white liberals are, we throw up our hands when we see communities just follow the lead of, who's the guy who down in South Carolina? Who in the primary, Jim Clyburn.
James Clyburn, yeah.
They just follow whatever Jim Clyburn tells them to do. And I think a lot of white liberals say, why do they listen to these corrupt congressional black caucus people? Because they actually, a lot of them have living memory of these kinds of experiences, of this kind of thing being inflicted on their community. I'm sure after this, a generation from now, people will not understand why no Latino will ever buck the local Democrat because they're going to have forgotten this is why.
Right. Of course. Absolutely. That is definitely the effect that I think this is going to have. Okay. Let's go to some Rumble rants and super chats here. Furrow Queen says, sometimes I'm not too bright and don't get the right take on things, but I am right in thinking that Epstein getting whacked has led to one of the most entertaining dramas in recent history. Yes, you are indeed correct about that, Furrow Queen. Thank you. Xander Varkov, Pam Bondi, there are known knowns, things we know that we know. There are known unknowns, things that we know we don't know. Thank you, Xander Varkov. Eric Rousseau says the Epstein files must be redacted to protect materials and methods. Donald's head game is a national security issue. Thank you. Eric Rousseau, so did anyone put a stake in Cheney's heart to make sure? Ha, good one. All right, let's take some super chats.
Okay, Brad Gilbert. New info is that now we have to read the files. Yeah, I think they read them. that's why.
Sounds like they know.
That's
Sounds
why
like they know.
suppressed them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad Gilbert again. I used to agree with Ike on 90% of stuff. He'd lose me on lizard people. Seeing Erica Kirk's yellow eyes and no real tears has me up to 95% now.
David Icke is the man.
I worked in an office once and I came to believe that Ike was right about the lizard people.
Yeah.
Zandor Vorkov, Pam Bondi. I've got new information. I got new information, man. New shit has come to light.
Yeah, that's right.
Kuznetsky Bassane, DD is totally killing it. The best journalism out here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very nice to hear. Best journalism out here and out there. That's right. Damn it. Wherever out there is. Jolly Man Big Boy. I disagree. I think Charlotte Webb is an appropriate operation name because ICE officers are some pigs. Honestly, I was thinking that. I didn't want to break Keaton's flow.
Well, Charlotte wasn't Charlotte the spider?
Charlotte was the spider, but yeah. they're the pigs.
Right.
Brad Gilbert, Uniparty foxes smiled when they let the wolves out. Yep. Skyman 2022-04. Yeah, because after this, people are gonna be like 15-minute city. Give me an 8-minute city. Just get these motherfuckers out of my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Don't get too excited. 30 days is a long time for the desperate and stupid to make things way, way worse. There is nothing these megalomaniacs aren't willing to do to take everyone down with them. Brother, you are preaching to the choir. No arguments from us. Brad Gilbert, Bezos visits White House. Now ICE scares 1/3 to shop online. It's an interesting angle I hadn't thought of. Xander Vorkov, what do you mean? The Democrats are the lockdown party. Don't you remember 2020? Oh, wait. Yeah, no, it's a big club. You ain't in it, man.
Yeah.
Mr. $2. Thank you, man. All right.
I think what he was getting at there was, remember who was president in 2020 when those lockdowns happened?
Oh, yeah, Trump.
Oh, yeah. All right. Let's take a brief. Actually, we're going to take a brief pause after this next segment because I have to queue it up. Let me just make sure I have something.
We've ended up in a very conspiratorial world.
Okay, we've ended up
because of what.
Oh wow, we have a trigonometry clip today.
Well, that's the Sam Harris.
Oh, that's the Sam Harris.
I just wanted to make sure the videos were working because when that internet thing happened, it screwed up some of the videos in my queue. But we seem to be good now. All right, we'll move right on along.
All right, so this is a segment that we call Indians Not So White. Indians Not So White. They thought they were. We kind of got a theme going on here today. A lot of times you don't even mean to have a theme, but the universe gives you one. We kind of have a theme today.
Kind of happens all at once.
Kind of have a theme. All right, so there is a long history of people who are not considered white trying to become white people. And it has happened. We are a case in point. Most people would look at me and Keaton and say, whiteys, but Jews historically were not considered white. It's still a point of some debate. Irish were not considered white. Italians were not considered white. Around the turn of the 20th century, during the big immigration wave, the only people who were white were Lord of the Rings white. We are the men of the West.
Right.
We are the riders of the Rohirrim, right? Germany, England, France. Those are the white people. Everybody else was something else. You were ethnic white at best. That was the next stage on the census. You had ethnic white. Going back to what we were discussing with Sabby, actually, that was part of the redlining. When they did the redlining, Irish, Jews, and Italians could become white if they moved to the suburbs with the redlining. And they left behind the black and brown people who could not go to the suburbs, who remained non-white. Now you see today a lot of Latinos identifying themselves as white, or you'll have Latin white or Latino white, Hispanic white on certain forms today. And that was how it started with the Italians and the Jews and the Irish. They would check ethnic white. So yeah, you do have a certain Latin community that is aspiring to become redefined as white people. It's a little tougher for Indians because, you know, they're clearly not racially white. But there is a certain kind of Indian person who's been trying to become white. Vivek Ramaswamy is a prime example. Here is the really incredibly debasing moment where Ann Coulter tells him to his face she likes his ideas but could never vote for him because he's Indian.
Me too. Thanks for having me. That was a fantastic opening monologue. I too am a fan of yours. So I'm going to make a point of disagreeing with you so that it will be fun. You are so bright and articulate, and I guess I can call you articulate since you're not an American black. Can't say that about them. That's derogatory. And that was a great opening segment. Lots of things to talk about there. Oh, and I agreed with many things you said during. In fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian. We'll get back to that.
Now look at his face there. Look at his face there. Okay, now don't feel too bad for him because she makes this whole crack about African Americans, which he is perfectly happy to feed and laugh along with. Now remember, he's born in Cincinnati, Vivek Ramaswamy. He is a native-born American. She says she will not vote for him because he's Indian, which means to her, if you're not white, you're not American, right? Because what else would that mean? He was born in Cincinnati. Oh, hang on, I'm on the wrong thing. Am I? StreamYard's being a dick. All right.
Yeah. I can't even see that video. I got to exit and come back in.
Oh, you couldn't see it?
I couldn't even see the video. I'm going to exit and come back in. I'll be right back.
Shut. All right.
Yeah, no,
I'm
you
just gonna.
you keep rolling, but I'm just gonna exit and come back in.
Okay. All right. So it gets even better because after that, she takes a crack at Mexicans, which he again very eagerly jumps onto.
When you take in that many immigrants from one area of the world at once, and we're taking them in from all kinds of different areas, we've already taken in 1/3 of all Mexicans. 1/3. Let that sink over you. So they create their own little Mexicos, their own little, whatever.
Enclaves. Yep,
Lebanon.
absolutely.
And so we do, I think
It's
we
disgusting,
definitely-
actually. I think it's
we need
disgusting.
more.
It's disgusting.
It's disgusting.
What a piece of
It's
shit.
disgusting. All
What
right,
a
so don't
fucking
feel
piece of shit.
yeah, so don't feel too bad for Vivek being humiliated by Ann Coulter. He is desperate to be accepted as one of them. So much so that she talks about African Americans. He jumps right on. She talks about Mexico. It's disgusting that they have enclaves. Indians don't have enclaves. I could take my phone and live stream a bunch of Indian enclaves in New York right now. Just have to get on the train to Queens. You don't have any more in Manhattan you used to. So recently, Vivek, if that wasn't enough evidence for him of the reality of the party that he chooses to align with, he put out this perfectly lovely. All right, so hang on. Our people have to tell us because now I can't see that. So I don't know if it's just us or if
Now
they
I can
can't
see it, but you can't.
Now I can't. All right, so folks in the chat, can you see that picture? Tell me now. I'm watching the chat. Can you actually see that?
I think they can.
There's something weird going on with StreamYard. Yeah, so they see it.
Yeah.
All
Sounds
right.
very
So if there's a little clunky, my apologies. There's something weird going on in StreamYard right now. Okay, so perfectly lovely picture of himself and his family. But some people took exception to it. These are some of the responses he got. How do you do, fellow whites? This guy's born in Cincinnati.
He's running for governor.
He's running for governor of Ohio. Did you try to dress up as Americans? Another one. I like your American costume. That's their response to this. Pagetism, the opposite of imperialism, migrating like pests to a formally imperialist country. Formally, I like that. Not to take it over, but to take advantage of its successful society and feed off its resources for survival. You mean the way that imperial powers feed off the resources of the company they rely on to have that successful, so-called successful society like that? JD Vance is not immune. This is recent. Veronica's rotting teeth groiper. If you think Vance, parentheses, hated Trump, loved Obama, and is married to a literal anchor baby, is going to do anything but continue to manage our decline, you are either a regard or are lying to us. Either way, go get in a car accident, bundle of sticks. And she shares exclusively pictures of Vance sharing in his Indian wife's culture as an argument against him becoming president in 2028. So our friend Blakely back in March did a video about this. This story kind of blew up about a week ago. People started talking about this, but she was on this back then. There's a little of what she said.
Seems to be this theme now of white supremacists, right-wing racists, and their Indian spouses saying that multiculturalism is a failure, or people like Dinesh D'Souza, who's of Indian descent, saying multiculturalism is a failure. It's like, you guys realize you're not white, right? Like, were you not here, Dinesh D'Souza, for the H-1B visa fight where all of the MAGA racists were talking about how we shouldn't let Indian immigrants into the country? Like, I don't know why you guys think that you can be racist and trash multiculturalism and that it's not going to come for you too when you're not white. I've written against multiculturalism in the defense of Western civilization for 30 years. Then why are you here, Dinesh D'Souza? Why are you here? If you hate multiculturalism so much, Why are you here? Because America is a multicultural society, so if you don't like that, maybe you should leave. I'm sure all the white supremacists that you're friends with that pretend to like you would be happy to shove you out of the country.
Yeah, and to the extent it's not a multicultural society, it's a majority white society. So why would
Right.
why would you want to come here?
Right. Case in point, speaking of Mr. D'Souza. So this guy, we don't have to read all this. So this guy, Tyler Oliveira, went to India, which apparently I'd never heard of this, has a poop throwing festival. And he filmed it. And India lost its mind about the idea of this going out on social media. So much so that he claims that his life's been threatened, his family's life's been threatened. So now in this plea to stop harassing him, he says he's not going to release the video. From what I saw of this, from what I know of the story, it doesn't look like he was trying to be malicious or racist. He was just trying to have a viral video like, look at this weird thing they do in India, but they did not appreciate it. So Dinesh D'Souza responded to this. How about commenting on this festival? It seems like the future belongs to the poop throwers. And he shows United States for 2024, based on the latest US Census data, Asian people of Asian descent had the highest median household income. So that was his response to this. And he got quite a response to that from the people he's been cultivating for 40 years, who for some reason he did not anticipate were going to tear him a new one for an observation like that. West Bestern, when you cram 6 junior developer H-1B scabs in one apartment, this is what results. When you cram 8 extended family into extra rooms to run your bed bug hotel, this is the result. Visit any Costco and you'll see a mass of curry subcontinentals who can never assimilate. Deport! Jaden McNeil, total mask off moment. Indian American celebrating white replacement while defending your homeland shit flinging festival. Go home. Solianath. So after almost 50 years in America, you saw a YouTuber documenting a poop throwing festival, saw him asking for people to stop doxing him and harassing his family, and decided that your loyalties lay with the poop throwers. Just wanted to get that straight. So D'Souza now all of a sudden noticed that there are an awful lot of racists in the Republican Party. So somebody here tweeted out, "You're Indian. You made nothing. You are nothing and devoid of creation. Your ilk has been a race of slaves for hundreds of years. And even after being given a chance, you prove what worth you are." D'Souza responds to this, quote tweets it, "In a career spanning 40 years, I have never encountered this type of rhetoric. The right never used to talk like this. So who on our side has legitimized this type of vile degradation? It's a
That's
question
amazing.
worth thinking about." Oh, nobody on the right ever spoke like that? That was oh, you mean that was never directed at you, at people like you. That's what you mean. Really? It's not right. This is Charlottesville. You will not replace us, right? The people at Charlottesville. Oh, yeah, no, in 40 years, I never heard stuff like that come out of the right. Never heard it. Never heard it. And here he responds to Vivek's, Halloween picture. Look at the abuse Vivek is getting for posting an innocuous photo with his boys. This is the shit show that Heritage and Tucker have brought upon
Oh, it's
us.
their fault.
Of course. If this continues, I would not be surprised to see mass desertions of blacks, Latinos, and other minorities from the GOP. Unreal. Well, that ship has sailed, friend.
You already saw it.
Yeah, that's already sailed. So here is a creator. hang on a second. Let me pull up the slide. I want to give him credit. Amazing Lucas, who addresses this idea. And I speaks a little bit. He actually pulls out that Upton Sinclair quote about the difficulty of people seeing a thing they're paid not to see. And he attributes a lot of this attempt to deflect it to a section of the right, as, you know, D'Souza wants to keep getting paid. It's very difficult for him to disown the entire right wing, as he probably should as an Indian. But Lucas, what he says here is pretty spot on.
But Tucker had nothing to do with the attacks on Vivek Ramaswamy. Tucker has nothing to do with the attacks on Dinesh D'Souza and Indians. That has nothing to do with this. This is who the party really is. This is what I've said ad nauseum. I said, hey, the core of this party, the silent majority of the party, is racist. Damn. Now, I know that there are a lot of Republicans out there that wanted to get up. Lucas, that's not true. You lost me with that one. Listen, I know you vocal minorities who think that, hey, we're all for immigration as long as it's legal. Hey, we just want America. Okay, for Americans, that's what we want. I don't care if you're black, white, and all that. You're a minority within the Republican Party. I don't know if you happen to know this. A minority. The vast majority, they may be silent. Okay, now they're not being so silent, but the vast majority of the Republican Party for quite some time has been nothing but racist bigots. That's what, many people have been trying to tell you. I've been telling you this. Nobody wants to listen. Now that they're starting to come out and be like, yeah, I don't want to be represented by Dinesh D'Souza. He's Indian. Tell his Indian self to go back to India and make India great again, right? In the picture of Vivek Ramaswamy with his kids smiling and everything, you have people trying to say, hello, my fellow white, like he's one of them. And I've said this. They don't view you as one of them. You are nothing more than a useful idiot to them. You are a tool for their disposal. That's all you will ever be. And to be honest with you, that's what Dinesh really knows. He knows he's nothing more than a tool. That's what Vivek Ramaswamy knows. He knows he's nothing more than a tool. There's no way to deny this. When you have Ann Coulter talking about you are the greatest candidate on stage, but I wouldn't vote for you because you're Indian.
Okay, so yeah, spot on. And anyone who thinks that's too harsh or this is specifically an internecine fight among Republicans. All right, so what's this about? What's this about? U.S. World War II cemetery in the Netherlands removes displays about black troops. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? If your movement is not explicitly racist, why would you do that? What is DEI about having a display in a military cemetery in Europe about black troops who at that time were segregated and served separately?
Right.
It's not even like you're making the argument if they had a display about black troops post desegregation of the military. It's not, you don't even have that intellectual grounding. Well, they were all just troops. No, they weren't.
No, they were not.
Literally separated from everybody else. So why would you not want to acknowledge that unless your movement is based on appealing to racists? Who's going to like that other than racists? Or this, Trump administration removes report on missing and murdered Native Americans, calling it DEI content. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? They're not denying that these statistics are true. So what's your motivation? Well, they asked a little about it. Catherine Cortez Masto said that she and Lisa Murkowski sent a letter to the administration asking why the report was taken down. The White House said it was taken down in compliance with the executive order, which Cortez Masto's office specified was the Defending Women from Gender Ideology Extremism and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government order issued on January 20th. Cortez Masto said she's received no other information from the administration or an explanation on why it sees this report as a DEI issue. Why would you see that as and you're going to put that under the same category you put men swimming against Riley Gaines? Like, that's how do you get there? How do you get there? How on earth is drawing attention to the fact that this happens disproportionately to Native American women, how is that DEI? You would only do this if your base likes seeing you hurt non-white people.
Of course.
That's the
Right.
real rationale. There is no other rationale for doing something like that. It's to give your racist base something to cheer for, something to say, this is what I voted for. This is what I voted for. Here's Levitt, as many in the Trump administration have in the past, including Donald Trump himself, using the term Palestinian as a slur.
How far they are moving to the left. They ran Senator Gillibrand and Senator Manchin out of town. Now they're running Chucky Schumer out of town. It's too bad he turned into a Palestinian. He did it for nothing, like President Trump says, because his own party is turning against him. And the Democrat Party is truly becoming a full-blown communist party.
Well, why would you even hire this plastic surgery addled, probably bottled blonde trophy wife? Her husband, I want to do that later in the week. Her husband's 35 years older. He's a real estate millionaire. Yeah, she's married him for love. She fell in love with him.
Real Christian.
He's a real Christian. This guy's in his 60s. She's, I think, 27. Why do you want this sugar baby to be your press secretary, and this very master race Third Reich looking press secretary who's also a sugar baby? You're making a statement about how you see women, and you're making a statement on what kind of person your administration represents. Why else would you put that out there? And look at the kinds of things she's saying. They love having this fake blonde, plastic surgery laden sugar baby out there throwing around racial slurs about Palestinians. Who is that intended to appeal to? Who watches that and says, yeah, I'm being well represented? Fucking racists. Who else does that speak to? Who else does removing this report on Native Americans speak to? Who else does getting rid of history about black troops that served in World War II? Who does that speak to? So for people like Vivek, for people like Dinesh, for people like Usha Vance, frankly, I have absolutely zero sympathy for these people. And frankly, I have zero sympathy for Latinos who voted for Trump, who are now finding out what he was about, because they just thought he wasn't going to come after them. They just they thought, as many immigrant groups did before them. They are not unique in this. There is a long history of Irish and Jews and Italians also being very anti-immigrant once they get established. That's an old cliche in America. They're not the first group to try to pull that move. They are maybe the first group to try to pull that move who are not Europeans. And not being Europeans, they're facing barriers to entry to whiteness that the ethnic whites, I think, did not face. And they're realizing now, as Blakely called out in that video, you guys really think they see you as one of them? You really think they see you as one of them? You really think that Cash is not out there just so that it's not completely obvious that it's an almost entirely white and Jewish cabinet? That's what Cash is there for. That's what Tulsi is there for. It's to give them some plausible deniability of what this administration actually is. It's a bunch of white supremacists and Jewish supremacists signaling to people who think like that. You want to ask yourself why you have all these white supremacists who are down with Jews, because they think the same way. They're fascist, ethno-supremacist people. They love the idea of Jews having this homeland where they kill all the Browns on behalf of what they see as their masters, because they're funding it, the Christian whites. That's what this is. And nobody, before Trump got elected, we were definitely among those who were rejecting the analysis of Trump's success as being racially based. And I'd say we would still reject that in the sense that under better economic conditions, he would not have been able to build up this kind of racial animus. You can't take away the fact that he could not have won the first time without two-time Obama. Shut your mic. Without two-time Obama voters flipping over to Trump. The Democrats bailing out the bankers and letting the homeowners drown opened up a very big lane for that kind of politics. But that is definitely the wedge that he used. He seized on the economic element, but he made an explicitly racist appeal. And now, particularly in the second term, as Tyler there commented, masks off, man. Mask is off. Like these people, yeah, they were quietly racist before. Now it's pretty overt.
Well, D'Souza is a total liar. First of all, just so you know, you left the Washington Post figurehead up. Just to that's the Oklahoma Watch was the publication of that one. Dinesh D'Souza is a total liar, and when he talks about how they didn't always talk like this, as you proved there, no, they used to talk like this a lot. They kind of kept a lid on it for a while there, for the most part, not entirely, but for the most part, they kept a lid on it for the while. They kept the mask on. Why? Because they wanted power. And I think what D'Souza assumed was that the right would keep that mask on even after Trump won, because they wanted to maintain power. They wanted to build upon that power.
Right.
They didn't want to hand power back to the Democratic Party. So they would continue to play this game. No, we're not racist, but this. And that gives people like him cover to still support the Republican Party and the sort of conservative movement as a whole. As soon as Trump won, they went completely mask off, just completely mask off. And that's what D'Souza is objecting to, because now his grift is blown up, because now he can't present as anything other than a total cuck bitch for supporting this movement that shits on him in public all day, every day, because of who he is. He was really thinking, as many of us thought, that no, they would continue to sort of play this game, but they're not playing the game anymore. You're raising $1 million for a woman who calls a black child the N-word on a playground. And when we do a video criticizing it, we get ratioed, not by our own viewers, but by losers who are just chomping at the bit to spew their bile.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So that is the character that the movement has taken on. And I think what caught guys like D'Souza by surprise is that they assumed that for prudential reasons, the conservatives would have to keep the mask on. They would have to keep playing footsie with racists, but not just overtly come out and express who they are so fully and so nakedly. And they did. And this is a huge reason, as Dinesh says in that tweet, why you're going to have non-whites leave the Republican Party. And they did. They did. On election day, you saw Obama-like numbers and margins amongst non-white voters, 90% plus among black voters for Democrats. Those are Obama era numbers. Trump broke that coalition in 2016 and then built on it in 2020 and 2024. You saw Obama-like numbers for Latino voters, Asian voters, like Indians, like Middle Easterners, amongst Native American voters. Hello. Right? Like every non-white group, they are just alienating because they figure, well, we won already. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. There's always something people can do about it. No power is ever permanent. And the way you lose power is by acting the way they've acted. And that has just driven non-whites out of the movement. And that really sucks for a guy like Dinesh D'Souza, whose whole grift was, see, Republicans aren't racist because I'm here. Right?
Because I'm here. Exactly. Well, that's why Cash is there. That's why
be
Tulsi's there.
Yeah.
That's the little fig leaf they use to cover up the fact that they've got an almost entirely white administration.
Exactly. And eventually the jig was going to be up. Eventually that was just going to run out of room. And here we are. All right, folks, let's do a quick game break here to tell you about the Grifters Bible. Speaking of grifters, if you follow the Grifters Bible, it is a mind-bending novel in film series form by El Shabooms, and it's a free weekly series on YouTube with a soundtrack by Monumental Sonic Architecture. Follow the First Electric Church of Jesus Christ as they combine the bleeding edge of black patented neuroscience with the state-of-the-art in Michigan to beat the Great Recession. They sell visions of God to the huddled masses of Deep Ellum, Texas, and the money pours in until the local competition, the police, and the U.S. Navy decide to put a stop to it. There's ass whoopings, car chases, and a showdown at high noon on Good Friday in Dodge City. It's sci-fi noir. It's a picaresque thriller. It's a Western from 10 minutes in the future. It's The Grifter's Bible. It's a film series by El Shabooms with a soundtrack by Monumental Sonic Architecture. So check it out, youtube.com/@El Shabooms. New episodes every Monday. All right, let's go to some Rumble rants over here. Judy Denmark, thanks for the $50. Let's have a cowbell for Judy Denmark. Was in Greenwich Village for the first time in a long time. Talk about gentrification. Yeah, no gays in a prissy Starbucks that serves cocktails. Shit. Love you guys to death. There's still some gays there. Not as many as there used to be.
I mean, no more than any other part of the city.
Right, no more than any other part of the city at this point. Thank you for the $50. It's very kind of you. Professor Brown notes, says it is rare for the FBI to have such a highly regarded individual in charge. They ain't releasing shit, says Vienticus Prime. Appreciate that. EO Shush says, are the artists like the Mikey in the Life cereal commercial? I heard it's cheaper in the black neighborhood, but I'm not moving there. Have the artist move there. The artist like it. Eric Rousseau says, where you're from is what street gang members ask you before shooting you. 3 Tom the Bomb. ICE is going to destroy Latino family businesses all over the country. ICE is Wall Street's domestic enforcer to eliminate business competition. Mao is also the person I agree with on everything. ACP.US. Nocturnal Human says, on the subject of this ICE stuff, I have a song recommendation. The song Immigrants by Rhyme Minister says he says a lot of the things you talk about. All right. Thank you for that. I will check that out. For sure. Ardeen W. The purpose of this administration is to accelerate the country into chaos. The faster we revolt, the sooner they can crack down and implement full-on surveillance and police state authoritarianism. Exactly. This is a provocation. That's 100% right. That's 100% right. And that's what you saw in the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk shooting, is they were chomping at the bit to start a civil war. And to the point where it really changed my outlook on things, because I used to be a bit of an accelerationist myself. I've admitted so. But when you realize that's their plan, you have to sort of recalibrate.
They already have that plan.
Exactly. Remember the 4 B's to control people: beliefs, bribes, blackmail, and suicide. That's right. That's right. Vienticus Prime. It's a big club. Ain't in it because the club is being shoved right up your ass. There you go. Eric Rousseau says, maybe if Vivek Sammy was a casino Indian instead of a customer service Indian to appease Coulter. Yeah, exactly. An American Indian. And Coulter, we're taking in immigrants from everywhere now, even the moon. The Moonanites, the green one flipped me off. Thank you, Stoop Sign. All right, let's take some super chats.
All right. Calcom, the oligarchs forgot that they live on an anthill. Yeah, no, they remember. That's why they pour so much money into breaking you down.
That's right.
William Ellick, blame illegals. The smooth brains will rage, so everyone accepts all the tyrannical, invasive laws and AI mass surveillance, ICE police state.
Yep.
Exactly.
Oh, you still got people ranting about the illegals. Yeah.
Yep. Roger Meadows. Yes, Russ, a law that goes after employers should say if you get caught hiring one undocumented immigrant here illegally, complete government takeover of your business. This problem goes away. I mean, it's true. It's kind of like my shirt. Just eat one billionaire and the rest will fall in line. William Ellick. Throat goat Trump is amazing. I believe it. Yeah. Tonquin B. ICE here in Durham the past couple days, my restaurant workplace shut down to protect Hispanic workers. So fucked up. Yeah, man. They're talking about sending them to New York. You know, a lot of chuds when I posted something when that woman cursed out the ICE agents in the court. I said, they better not come to New York, man. They better not. You think they're getting shit in other places that they're going? You ain't seen nothing. If they come to New York in a way that New Yorkers are able to organize against because it's consistent and they know that they're here, Yeah, that's going to get ugly real fucking fast. Brad Gilbert, Dinesh and Vivek never saw Malcolm X Foxes and Wolves. Apparently not, or they didn't care, man. They're making a living. They're
Yeah, they don't
making
care.
a
It's a
living.
grift. It's a
There's a
grift.
lot of money to make in that I'm the brown one who likes white supremacy grift.
Vivek
They love that shit.
Ramaswamy is the most obviously full of shit piece of shit I've ever seen in my life. Like that guy, I'm sorry.
I mean, it's funny when you see his face, like he has a human moment when Ann Coulter tells him that.
Yeah.
Like he is humiliated, but he can't say so. He just keeps going.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, we both think the Mexicans are disgusting, right? Right?
Yeah.
See, I'm one of you. I'm one of you.
He's a totally fake person.
William Ellick. It's insane how divide and conquer still works. Oh yeah, man.
Remember when Vivek Ramaswamy, he pulled that shit in Iowa where he tried to, the woman he was trying to convince a woman to vote for him because she was going to support Trump. And he was like, the deep state will never let him be president, implying that they're going to try and, KILL him. And, she starts crying. Oh no, don't talk like he says, it's the truth. I have to tell you the truth. And she starts crying on his shoulder. Like, he's a fucking, what a snake.
Yeah.
Just what a snake.
Roger Meadows, Russ, you must have been watching foundational Black American content. This is exactly what we've been saying to all these POC groups to come here, including Black non FBA. Yeah, man. I mean, I would never disagree with that. I always tried to make this clear when I spoke against the kind of anti-racist Robin DiAngelo, Ibram Kendi stuff. I always made it clear I actually agree with a lot of the underlying premise, but it's very clear to me that they don't agree with it. They're using it as a grift to avoid economic issues, and that's why they're being promoted. That was always my issue.
Right. All right, folks, we will move right on along here. This is a quick one. Sam Harris is back in the news once again. This went kind of viral yesterday. Haven't seen much of Sam Harris, but he went on with the Trigonometry Boys to create another pornography genre, the pseudo-intellectual three-way. That is the new genre created by Sam Harris and the Trigonometry Boys. Sam Harris says Trump deserves a Nobel a Nobel Peace Prize for bringing the hostages back from Gaza. So everybody knows Sam Harris absolutely despises Trump, but this is where his love of Israel, supersedes his Trump derangement syndrome, quote unquote. Because I think that term has certainly outlived its use. But he was one of the OGs to be described that way. So let's take a look at Sam Harris saying that Donald Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize for bringing the hostages back.
Ended up in a very conspiratorial world, partly, I think, because of what happened during COVID. And by the way, if you lock people in their homes for 2 years, some of them are going to loop it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's the wrong clip. God damn it. Here, you know what? You do your segment, and I'll set that up different. What the hell?
We got a lot going on.
A lot of tech issues today.
A lot of tech issues.
That was a wrong clip. All right, sorry about that, folks. All right, do your thing, whatever this is, and then whatever this is, and then I'll do that in a minute. I got to grab the video.
All right. This caught my eye because it really fits a lot of the themes we explore in this show. And I've particularly been talking quite a lot about how the rich want you dead. There has been a whole kind of subgenre of horror, imagining the rich hunting the poor. So probably the very first film treatment of this was based on a novel of the same name, The Most Dangerous Game, which has been remade a few times, I think. Then, of course, you have Hostel. The Hostel series is a variation on this theme, the rich paying to torture the poor to death. A very clever take on this that owed a lot to The Most Dangerous Game was The Hunt that came out during the pandemic. It was kind of a pandemic hit. But hey, especially if you've been following the Epstein Files, if you're anything like me, you probably assumed that shit like this actually happens. Right, that it's not just It's not just perverts on an island. It's also maybe actually killing poor people for sport. Well, hey, now we have some evidence of this. Wealthy foreigners paid 80,000 pounds to shoot civilians. This just disappeared on my screen.
Yeah, it's very, very bad. Very bad. StreamYard.
I don't understand what's happening today.
Terrible, terrible work.
Okay, I'm going to start reading that again. Wealthy foreigners paid 80,000 pounds to shoot civilians in besieged Sarajevo, Italian prosecutors claim. Rich foreigners paid large sums of money to shoot at terrified civilians during the siege of Sarajevo, according to extraordinary allegations being investigated by Italian prosecutors. The prosecutors are examining allegations that during the 1990s, far-right extremists and gun enthusiasts from Italy, the United States, Russia, and other countries traveled to Bosnia and paid Serbian forces to let them fire at city residents as a form of war tourism. According to La Repubblica, foreigners each paid the equivalent of between 80,000 and 100,000 euros. It's between 71,000 and 88,000 pounds in today's money to take part with a price list, allegedly listing various rates depending on the target. Quote, there was a price tag for these killings. Children cost more than men, preferably in uniform and armed, then women, and finally old people who could be killed for free. Ezio Gavazzani, a journalist, told the Italian newspaper. They departed Trieste for a manhunt, and then they came home and continued their normal lives. They were respectable in the opinion of those who knew them, he added. The case was filed by Benjamina Karic, a former mayor of Sarajevo, against persons unknown. An entire team of tireless people are fighting to have this complaint heard, she told Italy's ANSA news agency. Investigators are working with the, here we go, Raggruppamento Operativo Speciale, a carabinieri unit that handles terrorism and organized crime, and prosecutors want to identify any Italians who took part to face charges of, quote, voluntary homicide aggravated by cruelty and abject motives.
I'd say the shoe fits.
Yeah, I'd say so. Witnesses say the trips were arranged from the northeastern city of Trieste. Participants were allegedly taken to sniper positions in the hills overlooking Sarajevo by Bosnian Serb militias loyal to Radovan Karadzic, who was later convicted of genocide and crimes against humanity. Serbia has denied any role in the alleged killings, but investigators believe Serbian intelligence services aware of or involved in the operation were aware of. Edin Subasic, a former Bosnian intelligence officer, said a captured Serb soldier told him Italians had paid to fire sniper rifles at civilians. A former U.S. Marine, John Jordan, testified to the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia in 2007 that tourist shooters came to Sarajevo. It's just disappeared again. Okay, I'm just going to read that last paragraph again. We'll cut it. A former U.S. Marine, John Jordan, did it again. A former U.S. Marine, John Jordan, testified to the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia in 2007 that tourist shooters came to Sarajevo to take pot shots at civilians for their own gratification. He said one man had arrived with a hunting rifle more suited to wild boar than to urban combat and handled it like a novice. The siege of Sarajevo took place between 1992 and 1996 and was the longest in modern European history, with more than 11,500 people killed. The Italian intelligence agency SISMI reportedly confirmed at the time that foreign weekend snipers had visited Sarajevo. So it looks like you have a fair amount of witness accounts and supporting evidence that this actually happened, it is absolutely no surprise to me. Like, uh, no pun intended, gun to my head. If you asked me, have rich people ever paid to hunt civilians? I would immediately say yes. That I would bet my life on that before even reading this article. And you know what? I would bet my life. This is far from the only case where rich people have done things like this. It would not surprise me if you had people doing that in Gaza. But yes, this is the case that has come to light. And the reason this genre is kind of an eternal genre, every now and then, every generation seems to produce a new take on the most dangerous game concept, is because we all, whether you believe that they're literally hunting the poor or not, it says something about our understanding of capitalism and the relations between the classes. On whether you believe they literally do this or not, and it looks like they do or have, um, it's a metaphor for the relationship that we have to them. And it also reflects that whatever overt worship of the rich you might have in capitalist societies, underneath it all, people understand these people are psychopaths that would be happy to see you dead and would be happy to kill you for their entertainment if they thought they could get away with it.
Yeah, well, it's an eternal genre, like torture tourism, like the Hostel movies, and you showed
Right,
the
yeah.
the Hunt, and like to a it's not exactly the same thing, but close. Like even the Hunger Games, which is essentially a ripoff of the Battle Royale, the great
Right,
Japanese
right,
movie.
right.
That's an amazing movie. Yeah, the idea of violence and torture for the entertainment of the upper class. That has been, yeah, an eternal sort of sub genre in the entertainment world. But what's not eternal is capitalism. Capitalism has an end stage. And when we're in the end stage, that's when all of the satire becomes reality. Because the reason that was, biting satire, the reason that was smart satire to begin with, is because it was predictive of what was to come. And now we're here, right? So as capitalism enters its end stage, where you literally have, small elite upper crust and just swats of desperate peasants, this is what that turns into. This is what that turns into. And so here you are. Like the reason that art was good art is because it tapped into something real, right? And once capitalism gets to the point where this is possible technologically, right, and logistically, if you will, then this is what you're going to see. And I say technologically because this is another incarnation. What were the gladiator fights? The gladiator fights were slaves
Sure.
fighting to the death
Sure.
for the entertainment of the lords, right? Yeah,
Sure.
the peasants would come and fill the arenas. That was the bread and circuses. But who was that really for? Who attended those? The emperor, right?
Sure.
It was for the entertainment of the upper echelon. And so, yeah, it's really an age-old custom.
Well, yeah, even to this day, when you go to visit the ruins, you could see the VIP seats. A lot of them still have marble on them. The other ones didn't. The ones for the plebs didn't have that, but their
Right.
seats have the remains of the marble on them.
Yeah. See the
But
chicken teriyaki skewers and the Bud Light
yeah,
buckets. Yeah, for the private suites. For the emperors.
exactly.
Yeah.
But if you look at Mar-a-Lago face, this is something that actually, if you're a real aficionado of satiric sci-fi, that's something you see in Brazil, the movie Brazil by Terry Gilliam. You see it in Escape from LA. This idea of women getting plastic surgery that actually makes them look absolutely grotesque,
Right.
and that being fashionable, and them thinking they look good. That's what we're there, man. We're there. They all look like they look like demented cats.
Yeah, yes, indeed. All right, folks, we're gonna move right on along here. I'm gonna forego the scroll today because I tried screen sharing this video that I ended up having to download, and it almost crashed the whole browser. So I just don't trust the tech to do the scroll. But thank you to our patrons. You are the backbone of the show, and we will make it up to you. We're going to do, our patron-only content next week for Thanksgiving, Alice's Restaurant, and then we'll do a pre-Thanksgiving call-in, I think, on Tuesday. We'll probably do like one of our post games so that
that's right. We have next Thursday off.
Next Thursday off. So next
Holy
Tuesday is going to be
shit.
our pre-Thanksgiving show. So we should probably do a post game with some calls for Thanksgiving. That might be fun. So yeah, sign up if you can. Patreon.com/DoDissidents, DoDissidents.substack.com, or join our locals. Where is it? Where is everything today? I feel like nothing is coming together. There it is. Patreon.com/DoDissidents. Starts at $5 a month. You are all the backbone of the show, as we always say, because it's always true. All right. Vanticus Prime says, what timing? An article just popped up. Just in, U.S. Coast Guard will no longer classify swastikas noose as hate symbols from December 15th. Is that true?
Are you fucking serious?
That's fucking insane. Is that real?
Is that real?
Wow. Disclose.tv. That's usually real. EO Shush, historical white people focus mostly black so immigrants can get the impression they are in the club. Every once in a while, the whites have to remind them you're not black, but you're not white. Thank you, EO Shush. Mianticus Prime, to quote myself like the asshole I am, what do you call someone who cheers on the creation of a weapon, the next target? By the way, Keaton, the saying is champing at the bit, chomping is an eggcorn. Interesting. All right. It's not chomping at the bit. I thought it was chomping at the bit.
I think everyone says chomping at the bit.
Yeah, that seems to make more sense. The China shill.
Very, very often I find people with these kinds of observations are referring to an earlier version, and it won't accept linguistic drift. Like the way people say things change. It changes. It might be originally they said it that way.
Right.
But that's not how people have said it, I think, in my lifetime, really.
Yeah, I've never heard champing at the bit. The China Sill says, just wanted on the record that while Tucker isn't directly or even solely responsible for the attacks on Dinesh, the shit he and others said on Fox was barely better than what Ann said there. Yeah, no, look, he traffics in this stuff too, to a large extent, and it is ridiculous. Like, what did he say recently?
Yeah, it didn't bother Dinesh before.
No, Tucker did this. What the hell did he say? He went on a British TV show where they accused him of like conspiracy mongering about the Charlie Kirk shooting. And they said, when you raise questions about Charlie Kirk, aren't you undermining the case or isn't that's not helpful? And he says, well, not helpful to who? And it's a good point. Not helpful to who? Not helpful to the prosecutors trying to put the man away, or not helpful to the justice system in general? Like, he was making a good point. Like, what do you mean not helpful? Like, it's my job as a journalist to help the prosecution prove their case. What if I have questions about the guilt of this man? So he was making a great point. And then he goes on and says, in my country, we have this thing called innocent until proven guilty. What you're asking me to participate in is not justice. I'm paraphrasing that part. I'm not paraphrasing this part. He says, that's what you're saying seems like African justice. Like, why would you interject that?
Yeah.
Like, why would you go out of your way to
You were doing so good.
Yeah, you were on a roll. Like, why do you have to go out of your way to fucking just be divisive in that way? Like, what the fuck? Like, what? Like, why can't you just stick to, you had a good point, and then you just fucking ruin it? Yeah, so no, he definitely engages in that. But Tucker engaged in that shit in a more subtle, mask-on way that cast a broad enough tent to suck in the people like Dinesh D'Souza. Cut to once Trump takes power, and Tucker doesn't do this now, to his credit, but Matt Walsh saying it's great that Shiloh Hendricks raised $500,000. I hope she raises $500,000 more. I mean, that's just mask off. There's no other way to describe it. All right, let's try this Sam Harris segment again, folks. What do you know? All righty, folks. So Sam Harris went on the Trigonometry show, and despite his long, well-established reputation as one of the original Trump haters in the Rob Reiner, Stephen King class of people who just absolutely despised Donald Trump from the second he came down the escalator, now he's singing at least a different tune in this respect. He still hates Donald Trump, but on the other hand, he does deserve a Nobel Peace Prize for bringing the hostages back from Gaza. Let's try this again.
evaluating a president, you have to look at deliverables. What are the deliverables? There's probably a lot to criticize, and I'm sure you've got them, lots of them. But getting the hostages back from Gaza.
Yeah. Well, so let me just deal with that, because that's on everybody's mind, and square this statement.
Let me give you a list, and then you address them all. Is that okay?
Well, I mean, this one's worth just hitting off the tee, because I think he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for having brought the hostages back. Right. I mean, I think that's. I have no problem saying that. Right. So square that with accusations of Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, I can readily admit that was a massive achievement. Whatever happens next, I mean, there's not going to be peace in the Middle East as a result of this ceasefire. So
there's not peace right now. So you would think in order to win a Nobel Peace Prize, you'd have to actually bring peace. There's not peace right now, for your information. Israel strikes across Gaza kill at least 32 Palestinians as Hamas warns of dangerous escalation. That's a headline from this morning. That's from this morning. Israeli strikes across Gaza killed at least 32 Palestinians in the latest escalation of violence since the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas took effect. The Palestinian Ministry of Health said 12 children and 8 women were among those killed in the strikes, which continued from Wednesday into Thursday morning, while a further 88 people sustained injuries. The IDF said it carried out the strikes on Hamas targets after several terrorists fired on Israeli soldiers operating in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. Yeah, we hear that every time, and it gets debunked every time. This action constitutes a violation of the ceasefire agreement, the IDF said, adding that none of its forces had been injured. Yeah, none of its forces had been injured, even though they fired at it. So they fired at you, they didn't hit anybody, and then you bombed 32. You killed 32 people, two-thirds of whom were women and children. Yet no one was killed in this attack that you claimed happened. We saw this happen before. What was the first justification where it was proven that they said that there was an explosion somewhere, and it was an Israeli truck ran over one of the mines that was there left over from the war?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. The latest strikes bring the total Palestinian death toll since the ceasefire came into effect to 312. 312 dead in the ceasefire period. Ceasefire period.
I mean, he doesn't care about that. He only cares about Israeli lives.
He only cares about Israeli lives. Exactly. The peace doesn't matter. It's that you brought the hostages back. But it gets even crazier.
I'm very skeptical and pessimistic about the outcome. But just that piece, getting all the living hostages back, was massive. There was no Democrat who was going to do it. President Kamala Harris wasn't going to do it. Biden wouldn't have done it. Many of his weaknesses as a president, as a person, translated in that specific area into strengths, right? His unpredictability, his unprincipledness, the fact that he could just throw over the chessboard and walk away for another year, right? I mean, I think he got more out of Netanyahu and more out of...
Okay, so what you're saying there is pretty astounding. You're saying because he's such an unstable, incorrigible asshole, he was able to fall ass backwards into getting the hostages back, and for that, he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. Like, doesn't a person's character affect your evaluation of whether or not they're awarded a Peace Prize? I couldn't have said it better than this guy. LMAO, a backhanded Nobel Peace Prize. Trump deserves it because the only way he was able to get the hostages released is because he's a piece of shit. Exactly. Like, that's what you're saying. His weaknesses as a leader in this case were strengths. Okay, so what you're saying is because he's such an asshole, because he's such an untrustworthy, unpredictable, unstable, incorrigible asshole, he was able to somehow manipulate Hamas into giving the hostages back, and that wouldn't have happened. So because of that, he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. Wow. This is the intellectual powerhouse, Sam Harris.
I can't imagine why there was not. I cannot imagine why there was not a second douchebag dialogues from these geniuses.
Yeah, right. I think that has something to do with us, maybe. But yeah,
Biden wouldn't have done it.
I like to think so.
Many of his weaknesses as a president, as a person, translated in that specific area into strengths, right? His unpredictability, his unprincipledness, the fact that he could just throw over the chessboard and walk away for another year, right? I mean, I think he got more out of Netanyahu and more out of all the parties to that negotiation than a more principled, more methodical, more process-oriented expert on geopolitics would have, very likely. So that's one area where sort of the madman theory of politics,
right,
I think worked for him.
Okay.
And that's to the good. That does not compensate for all the other damage he's done to our country.
Okay, but if it just happens to work out for the good, that's still not a reason to give him a Nobel Peace Prize. You're just saying, hey, the wild card factor worked out in this instance. He gets a Nobel Peace Prize for that. But of course, obviously, the bigger story is absolutely zero mention of the fact that Palestinians have been killed every day of this ceasefire. That just does not even register to him. It's just amazing. It really is. It really is. This is a guy who holds himself up as this, humanist, right? This, secular
They all
humanist.
do.
Yeah. Meanwhile, not a mention of the fact that this ceasefire has really not even been an actual ceasefire. He didn't even talk about the ceasefire. He said he should just be given a prize for getting the hostages back. Well, if you're going to give him a prize for that, then you may as well give Netanyahu a prize for that, right? Netanyahu got his hostages back too. He's the one who fought the war, right? Why not give it? If Palestinian life doesn't matter how many Palestinians you kill in order to achieve your goal, then why not give Netanyahu Nobel Peace Prize?
Yeah, I mean, these guys are all like Rudyard Kipling after being hit in the head with a shovel 20 times. They're just like Rudyard Kipling with 50 IQ points missing. This vision that they all have this in common. The douchebag dialogues guys, Sam Harris, fucking Dawkins over there, Doug Murray. It is this really, really particularly shallow version of Western supremacy. It is very much white man's burden stuff. The people around the world, what can you do? They're ignorant, they're barbaric, their institutions are savage, and we have to bring them our values. And in the course of that, if a bunch of Palestinians get killed, those lives just do not have the value. Just call it for what it is. And this is what's funny about these Zionists. We just covered this on Jimmy's yesterday, where you had this Jewish Federation event where one of Obama's people, former Obama person, just straight out says kids are taking the wrong Holocaust education has backfired on us because kids walked away from it thinking it means when strong people are killing weak people, that's bad. And they're bringing that to Israel, literally just said that straight out. That is how ensconced in a worldview that certain lives have more value than others they are. That she didn't think anything of saying that on a stage, as if that was not going to come back on her.
Exactly.
That no one was going to notice what a deranged equation that was. Same thing here. Yeah. He deserves a Peace Prize for getting the hostages home. Like, that's really obviously the Peace Prize part gets the press. But if you break it down, the really interesting part of that there is the way he just overtly, without even thinking about it, I don't think it's something he's even conscious of, just assumes that, well, Palestinians are still getting killed. That doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
And I'm sure if you confronted him with it, he would just scream Hamas a lot.
Yeah. Well, he even said, I don't expect a ceasefire. I don't expect peace to prevail. So if you don't expect peace to prevail, if it's only about getting the hostages back, well, can't you say Netanyahu got his hostages back? Why wouldn't he get one too? Like, it's so absurd. It's really sick. It's incredibly arrogant. And just, it is inhuman. It really is. It really is. Like, he is insufferable at this point. Totally. All right. Why don't you knock out some super chats?
All right. Roger Meadows. They buy N2WS prop about us and think they're better than us. MAGA gave them a wake-up call, telling all of them, you are not us, which is why Foundational Black Americans is laughing. And Mr. Not New York City, New York, not St. Louis, Missouri, not New Orleans, Louisiana, for the love of God, not Charlotte, North Carolina. Nails on chalkboard grading to CLTNs. What is
Charlatans?
that?
Charlatans?
Charlatans? Yeah. Is
It's
that
an
what that is?
interesting name for people from Charlotte. Call them charlatans.
Larry Coldwater. Racism trumps classism. Get your priorities straight. I think it's like a sword. It's a blend of metals.
Yeah, I don't think they work in. Yeah, I think one is used to advance the other, and that goes both
Right.
ways. You know.
William Ellick. They have drones with night vision to pow us. Yeah, man. It was too complicated to get to today. Sunday, I've been wanting to do an AI thing. You know, Elon just did that whole thing where, yeah, no, Elon's working towards techno-communism where we don't need money and people like him don't need anymore, won't have power. Yeah, that's what he's working on.
Yeah.
How do you know a thing by what it does? Elon doesn't act like a guy who believes that.
Right.
Larry Coldwater, Poor People, the Forgotten Equity Group. Yeah, well, they were just covering this actually on Breaking Points because they were talking about, I think it's 50% of homes have lost value year over year. And they were talking about something that I got into in one of our segments, that the assumption that they need the spending power of the plebs, that's not true anymore.
Right.
Like 50% of the spending now is coming from the top 10%.
Right.
So if you push it a little higher and then the next 10% is covering another 25%, are they still going to need you?
Right.
Interrobang 5,000. So the Alien and Predator was a billionaire. Maybe where he came from. Jolly Man Big Boy, Rich Hunting Poor was a recent One Piece plot point. I gotta watch that. Barefoot, it's on Hulu now, like the original anime. Barefoot Pookie, traveling for work and listening from Italy. Oh, very cool.
Nice. All right. Last one.
Well, we want
now.
to finish, right? Because we don't have any more.
No, I got one. I got one more.
Oh, you have another segment.
Yeah, I got one.
I was trying to get through them all. All right.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. Hey, before we do that, we were at 2010. All right, and 11:03 in the light time. All right, everybody. Thanks very much once again for being here. Hey, it's premiere month. John Coe is sharing new singles from his upcoming album A to Z, songs from the tape deck, 34 different tracks, self-performed originals and covers built on lyrics. First listens land here. We've already premiered Just a Little Off the Rails, which is his original cover as well. I mean, his original song, sorry. And then two different covers, one by Bob Dylan of the song called Not Dark Yet, and then the Paul Simon Graceland classic Boy in the Bubble. 34 tracks. We premiere them here on the Rumble transfers when he gives those new songs to premiere. And you can go and download all of these at dudissidence.com/Koa. And that takes you to his Spotify, Apple Music, or YouTube channel. There's a link list at that link. So please do go and check it out. All righty. Let's move right on along here. So Donald Trump has a way of just saying the quiet part out loud, letting the cat out of the bag. You know, he's betrayed MAGA by proving that he is in no way, shape, or form America first. In fact, many have called him, lots of smart people are calling him more Israel first than America first. And this is not helping. President Trump has now labeled Susie Wiles the most powerful woman in the world. This is his chief of staff, by the way, saying she could wipe out any country with just one phone call. That's a great thing to say, to just blurt out at a time when your base is fracturing over the fact that it's widely suspected you work for Israel. So here he is.
She had her father, Pat Summerall, the great announcer. He was a great football player, became an even greater, the voice of the NFL, and he was supposed to be a tough cookie, and I believe it 100%. most powerful woman in the world. She can take out a country, take out a country with one phone call. That's power.
That's power.
I don't know if I could do that, but she could. Thank you, Susie. Do you feel good about the job you're doing? Huh? She's never going to be satisfied.
That's a great thing to just say. I mean, you know, look, so much has been made of the scandals, the corruption, the incompetence, the brazenness, the arrogance, the consolidation of power. I feel like not enough has been speculated about Donald Trump's mental state. Like, he does seem to be kind of losing it a bit. Not that this is anything terribly new, but you'd think given the state of his popularity, you might not want to just like blurt out, oh yeah, by the way, my chief of staff can wipe out a country with one phone call.
Susie Wiles, she had a father, Pat Summerall, the great announcer, football. He was a great football player, became an even greater, the voice of the NFL, and he was supposed to be a tough cookie, and I believe it 100%. Most powerful woman in the world. She can take out a country, take out a country with one phone call.
That's power.
That's power.
That's power. That should be on our sound drop. That's power. That could be put that on our soundboard. So here, I guess, is a former Trump supporter, Emerald Robinson. Here's Trump telling you Susie Wiles actually runs the world. There's just one problem. Nobody voted for Susie Wiles to run anything. Millions of Trump voters are wondering right now, didn't I vote for Trump to run the world? Yeah. I mean, you're supposed to be the most powerful person on earth. Not Susie Wiles, but apparently Trump saying the quiet part out loud again. Max Blumenthal says, nice reminder that Trump chief of staff Susie Wiles worked on Netanyahu's re-election campaign. That's right, in 2020. In case anyone's wondering about Trump calling Susie Wiles the most powerful woman, she literally worked for Netanyahu and helped re-elect him. So yeah, when Trump says she could wipe out a country with one call, he's not joking. He's telling you the hierarchy. So here's the Washington Post write-up. Trump aides once helped elect Netanyahu, reflecting leaders' deep ties. In the spring of 2020, as Netanyahu was facing an indictment and feared he was on the brink of losing an election, some of Trump's most trusted advisors touched down in Jerusalem. Susie Wiles, now White House chief of staff, Corey Lewandowski, who managed the president's 2016 campaign, and Tony Fabrizio, Trump's longtime pollster, among others. Don't forget, he deployed them in spring of 2020. Anybody remember what was going on in spring of 2020? The whole country was shitting its pants and we'd never be allowed out of our house again, right? Mm-hmm. All hands on deck emergency, except let's deploy some of my top people to go campaign for Benjamin Netanyahu with all of that going on. Priorities. They were there because Netanyahu's staff asked for help in his bid to remain prime minister, and Trump's A-team agreed to deploy. Wiles, Lewandowski, and their team flew to Jerusalem in early 2020, still in the honeymoon phase of the relationship between the two leaders. During a brief stint there, they camped out in a conference room at the Leonardo Plaza Hotel and took credit for transforming Netanyahu's campaign events into Trump-style rallies, empty stages, loud music, and a spotlight on the man in charge. Gen X Girl compiled this open secrets report. Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles. She's a lobbyist. She's a registered foreign agent for Nigeria and Venezuela company. Wow. Those two countries have been in the news quite a bit lately. Nigeria and Venezuela. Wow.
The Christian genocide that isn't.
And
the country that we're doing CIA fuckery in already. There was already just an explosion at a gas plant or a chemical plant yesterday.
Yeah, well, hey, talk about being able to wipe a country out with one phone call. Well, we're bombing those boats.
Yep.
Both daughters, I'm sure she's not lobbying for any pro-Maduro interests in Venezuela.
No,
I can guarantee you
that. I
that.
don't think so. No.
Both daughters are lobbyists who were promoted after Susie's appointment. Wiles' lobby companies surged in new clients after Trump's election. That is power. That is power. Some of those clients, let's see. Wiles is Trump's AIPAC handler. Now we know who's calling the shots, and we sure as hell didn't vote for her. So that's the web of interest there. As you can see, lots of pharma donors there too. Johnson & Johnson, right? What else do you have there? Gilead, Pfizer. Wow, Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson. Wow, pitting two manufacturers against each other there. So, yeah, that's power, as Donald Trump would say. She's the most powerful woman in the world. Not my DNI, Tulsi Gabbard. No, not Pam Bondi. No. Susie Wiles, my chief of staff, who I guess can order me to bomb Iran whenever she wants to, right? How do you like that? How do you like that? So, yeah, I mean, look, he has a habit of blurting these things out. He's gotten away with it until now. But now that, MAGA's not exactly feeling the vibes anymore, right? That shit doesn't really play the way it used to, right?
Yeah.
Telling Bill O'Reilly, well, you think we're so innocent? We got killers here. Putin's not the only killer. That kind of played as a troll because it was anti-globalist, right? It was seen as a thumb in the eye of the foreign policy establishment who wanted to ramp up hostilities with Russia. When you do those kinds of cracks, it's all, look, what do they say about comedy? You always got to punch down, right? I mean, you always have to punch up. Punching down doesn't work. Punching down's not funny. Well, this is seen as punching down. Oh, yeah, my chief of staff, Susie Wiles, yeah, she's in the pocket of the Likud party, and she can have a country wiped out with one phone call. That's not exactly the shtick that you think it is.
Yeah, and as Mehdi Hassan pointed out in a different context, yeah, this is not, you're not helping with the anti-Semitism, man. You're really not helping by claiming that you're actually being run, that the elected president that people thought they were electing to fix their lives is actually a puppet to a foreign power, to just confirm it that way. And hey, all this stuff was out there before. All this was out there before. How many times leading into the election did we show the clip of him dancing around in front of the Israeli flag, talking about how quick he got things done for the Adelsons? What do you think? What do you think he was joking? Thought he was kidding around? So he's always been, and that's how he's governing. Yo, the Scott Bessent thing, I've been fucking amazed, man, because I heard about the British pound thing from anti-Soros people. When you bring that shit up to the chuds now, they blame the British government, like Soros gave them theirs, like the British government was the establishment and he was the rebel who cut them down to size because they weren't managing their currency properly. I never heard that until Trump made him his Treasury Secretary and they had to justify it. Come on, man. He's got Soros's guy in the Treasury. You got Pigman Howard Lutnick there as his Commerce Secretary. How much more obvious could it be that you fell for it? He sold you out, man. He sold you out before he ever got there.
Yep, indeed. No question about it. All right, let's take some Rumble rants and Super Chats. Peanut Botticelli says, appreciates that you guys discuss the racist aspects of MAGA, not as a lazy shit-lived dogma, but with judicious argument. Rare and refreshing. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Professor Brownnote, pro-life, pro-choice. Can't decide? Join my procrastination party now or next week. That's okay, too. Democracy later. If not now, then. I like that. If not now, then. That's good. No demands. Vienticus Prime, both fake parties are about destroying non-white ethnicities. The first step is truly destroying a people is to elevate them. That way they'll never look down to see the graves you're digging. Furrows Queen says, perverts on an island, sequel to Snakes on a Plane. Thank you, Furrows Queen. The difference between chomping and champing is that champing is noisier. Thank you, Vienticus Prime. As Liquor Giant also pointed out, champing is also done as a display of restlessness or eagerness, also like his idea of saying chumping. Yeah, chumping. There you go.
I mean, I think it became chomping over time because people more easily understand that. Like,
yeah, chomping.
The horse is chomping at the bit. It wants to go.
Right, exactly. Right, it's rearing to go, exactly. Right. Uncontrollable or barely controllable. Are either of you guys fans of the director Peter Watkins, who recently died? I remember Punishment Park, which is a brutal but poignant film that's been effectively shadow banned in the U.S. since 1971. I don't know of Peter Watkins. I've never heard that name before.
Me neither.
Yeah, you got me there, Xander Varkov. Thank you for that. George, for another $50. Let's have another cowbell from old George. Says, Sam looks like even complimenting Trump is hurting him as the words are coming out of his mouth. His furrowed eyebrows make him look like he needed another bran muffin before this morning's crowd. There you go. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, let's take some super chats.
All right. William Ellick. I watched a doc how the royals would hunt naked male peasants in the wood like deer. Pow pow. Cut off the twig and berries. Big twin wins. Big twig wins. Wow. I gotta see that. I'm gonna literally Google to see if I can find that now. Sparky brings to mind rich tourist hunters in India in the late colonial, early neo-colonial period, where the tigers were practically tied up, if not tied up, and hunters shot from an overrode train. I think they actually have game reserves like that here, where they're penned in, they're fenced in, and you can just shoot the animals, so you don't really have to hunt.
Yeah, well, that's like the Dick Cheney used to do that. He used to
Right.
hunt the quail.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Andrew C. Hey guys, what's the difference between a schmoolie and a canoe?
Yeah, good. Like that. Haha.
Mr. Charlatan.
Charlatan. Okay, that's what a charlatan is called. It's called a charlatan. Okay, got it.
Truth Seeker. The Bosnia killings reminds me of a video clip about hunting Somalian pirates for money that Mark Cuban laughed about, but this is sicker. Yo, man, there was Malcolm passed this on to us. We didn't wind up doing it. It's not just at the Jewish Federation that they're saying sick shit. You can't imagine what they're saying on TikTok now that Ellison has taken over.
Oh,
there
yeah.
are some Spaces clips going around where literally they're like, yeah, we should just hunt the Palestinians. We should just hunt them. Why not?
Well,
no shit.
Wow.
Serious. Maybe
I
we'll do
believe
that
it.
Sunday. Yeah.
All right. I think we got time for one more quick one. This is just a funny one before we go. One more for the road. Got to end the week on a funny note, right? This is funny. Zohran Mamdani to make Arabic numerals mandatory in New York schools. X took bait and outraged hard. That's right. Zohran Mamdani, the first South Asian and Muslim elected as mayor of New York City and the Indian-American son of filmmaker Mira Nair, won the mayoral contest after promising big changes on the ground, from free city buses to universal childcare to a tax bump on the rich. However, a tongue-in-cheek mandate has been blowing up on X, jokingly claiming that the 34-year-old wants elementary school kids across the city to start learning Arabic numerals. The satirical news spread like wildfire on X, and it was amplified by angered X accounts, for they believed the Islamification of New York had already begun under Mamdani. So I got to credit News 18 here with finding most of the tweets that I'm about to show you here. But yeah, they did take the bait. Oddly enough,
Such a fantastic moron.
Yeah. Oddly enough, it was Polymarket that decided to do this troll, which is kind of weird because you think Polymarket is more like Trump line, Peter Thiel. Like, you wouldn't think Polymarket would be the outlet to sort of set up the chuds to be embarrassed. But no, got a little cheeky, little mischievous from Polymarket. Breaking: Zohran Mamdani to require all New York elementary school students to learn Arabic numerals. Raw's alerts took the bait. Breaking: unconfirmed reports suggest Zohran Mamdani may be preparing a proposal that would require all New York elementary school students to learn Arabic numerals. Fell for it. Who else fell for it? Autism Capital says, what? Jenny from Georgia, I guess. Is anyone surprised? Didn't think so. Joshua Robert, the Islamification of New York begins. And Chuck, one of my favorites, says, why? Here's Permaband, tweets out the cheapest low-quality bait, and some people in the comments still fell for it. What kind of lessons does American education even give when they don't even know that Arabic numerals are literally just numbers? That's right. Kelly says, we tried to warn you. Val says, I warned about this years ago. Everybody laughed.
Yeah, well, you're not going to help that with that tweet.
Yeah, right, exactly. Now, this is funny. So Laura Loomer, cry emoji, laugh emoji, as if she gets the joke, right? But Vision says, you failed as expected. So what clearly happened was Laura Loomer tweeted out, you know things are bad when you can't tell if this is real or a joke. Dear God, it's real, isn't it? So that was her original reaction. And then she realized that she fell for it.
Yeah.
And when she realized that she fell for it, she changed it to, you know things are bad when you can't tell if this is real or a joke, with the goofy face, like, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, internet's forever. She fell for it. Bring Back Schoolhouse Rock says, next you'll demand the president to hunt down the radical algebra. Ha ha, good one. Dad joke. I had to throw that in there. Sean says, have fun, NYC. You voted for this. Cat turd.
Wow.
Cat
Well,
turd.
of course you got him. Of course you got him.
Of course you got Cat turd. He fell for it and then I guess deleted it, which is why it's screenshotted now. Ha ha ha. We warned you. We warned you, said Cat turd. Now, my favorite response. See, this is actual, like, if you actually want to do sarcasm properly, if you want to do an Andy Kaufman bit where you're like, it takes people a minute to see what you did there. This was my favorite response. I bet out of all 1,036,051 New Yorkers who voted for Mamdani, not one of them wants this. See, takes a while to see what he did there. What he did there was he listed a whole bunch of Arabic numerals into his response. See, that is subtlety. That's well done by Pedro Molito. But there you go.
Completely over the head of anybody who fell for that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, right. Like that's good satire, because the people who were stupid enough to fall for it are going to think that you're on their side.
Yeah.
Whereas the people who see through it see what you did there. Right. Takes them a second, but they see what you did there. So that was well done. But yes, the Islamification of New York, mandatory Arabic numerals. Well done, internet.
Listen,
done.
Man.
And well
I
done,
know
Polymarket.
I would be very surprised if Gunther Eagleman did not take that bait.
Yeah, right.
I would be fucking shocked.
Yeah. That seems like the kind of thing that he would fall for. But that's well done. That's well done. Good stuff. Had to end on a funny note. I know it's been a bit of a severe show today. Lots of heavy and heady topics.
A little bit.
Yeah. And not too bad. We've had worse. That's for
Definitely.
sure. It could always get worse. If there's one lesson 2025 has taught us, it could always get worse. First Queen says, my mom was furious when our bank collapsed. She'd been carpet begging with my dad's wages and pensions for years, absolutely graping the interest rate. She's like Groucho, hasn't slept since the WS crash. Thank you, First Queen. Let's see. What do we got? We got a few more super chats, and then we're done.
Yep. Okay. Andy Gardner, what's next? Arabic pronouns? Gonna be some fun Thanksgiving family feuds this year. Yes, there will. Xander Vorkov. I also recommend the Peter Watkins film Culloden. Okay. The Third Man. I remember reading The Most Dangerous Game in junior high school. I recommend the 1932 film version with Joel McCrea and Fay Wray. Good stuff. Yeah, that was the one I showed the poster from. That was the first version, I believe. All right, that's it.
All right, that's
what
everything.
we got.
That's what we got. We got one more Rumble rant in under the wire. Vianticus Prime says, I love internet purity fails. Thank you, Vianticus Prime, and thank you, everybody, for another great week. Appreciate you all being here. Sabby's documentary premieres in a half hour. If you want to go watch it, recommend that you do. It's in the description of the YouTube video, the link. So please do go check that out. We want to thank our guest, Sabby Sabs, for coming on. We want to thank all of our YouTubers, all of our Rumblers, all of the mods for keeping the peace in the chats. We will be off the next couple days and back Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Until then, thank you very much for spending the afternoon with us. Be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.